Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Thanksgiving weekend edition of the Jim Cornette Experience. That's that time of year when we give thanks for all the things that we have, and we find out that good wrestling is not among them. But we will talk today about a few turkeys. And joining me to crank one out here today, Hawaiian Brian, the podcasting lion, the king of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network, Mr. Co-host to you. He was the original choice to be the gobbledygooker, but he's allergic to feathers. Your friend and mine, the great Brian Last.
Aloha, Jim. A pleasure to be here once again for the post-Thanksgiving celebratory episode. I'm looking forward to cranking one out all over the Cult of Cornette here today.
Possibly a poor choice of words. Gobbledygook. Gobbledygook. I swear to God, and I'm telling you, Bruce Pritchard, whatever the noise was that the fucking gobbledygooker made, I don't know. I didn't pay attention to it, but he would do that constantly. A smile came to Bruce Pritchard's face every time that the gobbledygooker was mentioned or brought up.
Do you think he ranks, where do you think he ranks amongst the greatest suck-ups in wrestling history?
The gobbledygooker?
No, Bruce Pritchard.
No, well, now those are some mighty strong words that you're throwing around for our friend the Artful Dodger.
Did I say anything that wasn't accurate?
I said those were strong words.
Well, there you go.
But anyway, it's Thanksgiving week, and we're not just going to hoist Bruce on the gobbledygooker's petard at the start of the program today, but it's Thanksgiving time. It's Thanksgiving weekend. Yesterday, as we tape this, was actually Thanksgiving, which is why neither one of us watched any wrestling, and we're a day late because even multimedia conglomerates like ourselves deserve time off every now and then. I actually spent from 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day packing packages for the Cornette's Collectibles customers. So it wasn't a day off, but we didn't have to watch wrestling. But we established, you and I here on the program a week or two ago, Jewish people do Thanksgiving. We verified this.
Yes, I can verify that Jewish people celebrate Thanksgiving. Americans celebrate Thanksgiving.
Okay, see, here's the thing. It was all them crackpot Christians that got run out of England that comprised the group known as the Pilgrims, and they came over here seeking religious freedom, and then they basically screwed the Indians out of all of their knowledge and gave them diseases and then ran them all off into the ones they didn't kill into various far-off remote parts of the country to fend for themselves. So it was a very thankful exchange. But I didn't know if any Jewish people came over on those boats. The Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, or the Mayflower. I guess the Mayflower. The Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria wasn't even the Pilgrims, was it?
That was Columbus.
See, well, yeah, this is
that
why.
That was Columbus, Mr. History Major, yes.
Well, yeah, this is why we need to reflect every once in a while at the holidays on exactly what went on. But the Mayflower and all of them other ships, did they have Jewish people on them too, or was that later?
No, it was later. It was like the Queen Mary.
So you're hopping on this Thanksgiving tradition.
Yes, anyone who has come to America and become an American celebrates Thanksgiving, and I'm very proud to say that my Jewish brothers and sisters have been a part of this country for several hundred years now. Maybe not in Kentucky, but all throughout the rest of the country. I
never really asked people. I asked them if they had a nice Thanksgiving. I didn't really ask them if they observe it or what their religious background was or what country they fled here from.
Is there a big Jewish population in Kentucky? I mean, do you have any temples in Louisville?
I don't know. I've never looked. I do not. I assume that I've never been, I don't see people by their religion, Brian. I see them just as people with two arms and two legs. Just like everybody, I see churches all over the place. I don't ask what variety of horseshit backstory they're following.
They usually have a sign in front that says exactly what kind of church it is.
They got a lot of signs in front of churches. I don't read any of them. Now, a sign in front of an adult bookstore, and generally they're in the same place. At least when you're in the southern United States and you're driving down the interstate, you can always tell when you're coming up on an exit with an adult bookstore or some type of strip club or entertainment establishment, because there'll be a giant cross that some farmer has given the local church his land to erect this giant cross to look over the adult bookstore like, you people quit having fun.
Are there still a lot of adult bookstores? Because obviously technology has changed things.
Well, now it's not, they're not going in and getting a Tijuana Bible or whatever, but it's just say it's porn and adult novelties and things. What do you mean? Wait a minute. Hold on.
What? That
just almost passed by me. You, a man of the world living up there in New Jersey and parts Northeast like that. You're in Smut Central. There's
it's
adult
all gone.
bookstores.
It's all gone. Show World is gone.
Rudy Giuliani just found one to have a press conference in front of, old Fantasy Island there in Philly. I think I've been there.
Yeah, again, it was in the middle of nowhere in Philadelphia, but they're mostly gone. And I ask you because I remember a few years ago, one of the tabloids had a picture of Glenn Fry, who was still alive at the time. It wasn't after he died.
Hopefully he was.
He was still alive, and it was him at a newsstand in Los Angeles buying porno magazines. And all the comments were like, doesn't he understand? You just got to get a DVD player? Doesn't he understand there are all these websites? Why would he go and buy a magazine and get photographed doing this?
Maybe a friend of his was in the magazine.
Oh, I never even thought about that angle of it.
Well, yeah, he's like, hey, my
pick this up.
My friend Patricia is the Busty Beauties, award winner of the year. And I need to pick up 5 or 6 of these. You're supporting your friends. That's happened to me a time or two.
Has it happened to you a time or two?
It actually has happened. Nevertheless, anyway, well, how did we get here? Why are we on porno stores? And
the Penthouse Pets were all escorts.
Well, I have no recollection of that either. Where were we going with this when we took a turn into the adult bookstore? Oh, Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is where we were at when you just led us down the primrose path. But anyway, the point is you celebrate Thanksgiving there at Last Manor. That's why I was trying to establish.
Yes.
When you got us talking about smut and dildos and things.
We celebrate Thanksgiving and Hanukkah. That's right.
At the same time?
No, one after the other.
Well, what, just the same weekend? Is this Hanukkah?
No, Hanukkah is at various points. Usually it's December, but every now and then.
What is it, a floating holiday?
It is a floating holiday on the Jewish calendar, yes.
Well, what sense does that make if it's not on a specific day or a specific annual calendar? If it's not on a rotation, it just pops up places?
It depends on where it sits for that year on the calendar. It's not like one of these American holidays where it's like the 25th, boom, it's Christmas.
Well, that's because Christmas was the birthday of Christ. So when was Hanukkah born?
Hanukkah Harry? When was he born?
Hanukkah Harry, when was he born?
At various different points throughout the month of December.
They did it like they did my head shaving in Mid-South. They booked it twice. But anyway, so you celebrate the Thanksgiving holiday.
I do.
I'm almost afraid to ask because we've had so many of these food disputes. But what was the Thanksgiving menu at Last Manor? Do you have French toast stuffing? Is there a filet mignon cut of turkey? What goes on there?
Well, actually, we did it a little differently this year. I have not yet had my Thanksgiving dinner. Now, we are recording this on Friday, the 27th. I will be having my Thanksgiving dinner tomorrow on Saturday, the 28th. The reason is, on Thanksgiving, Suzanne decided that she wanted to be with her sister and go to her sister and be with the rest of her family. And I said, there's no way in hell I'm going to spend Thanksgiving with anyone this year of the coronavirus.
Well, yes.
You can go. Yes. I'll be sitting here reading the new Thomas Edison book by Edmund Morris, and I'll be having a great time here. And I'll have, the only sad thing was...
But now, what good does that do if she comes back with all them germs and spreads the plague to you? You've breached the bubble.
I don't disagree with you. She has breached the bubble, but I haven't. So at least I have that going for me. Mentally.
So you got the moral high ground when both of you are on a fucking ventilator.
That's right. I need the ability to say I told you so. I care about that more than almost anything else in this
situation. Very important. Yeah, I'm saying I'm right there with you.
Yeah. So I haven't had... The only sad thing was, the one thing me and my Jewish brothers and sisters here in the United States have learned over the years is that Chinese food is always available. Usually on Christmas, we enjoy Chinese food because they're open and nothing else is. I was shocked and dismayed to discover that the Chinese food place here in my town was closed on Thanksgiving, which ruined my plans for my Thanksgiving dinner, my actual Thanksgiving dinner, but my turkey and the rest of the Thanksgiving regulars will be dished out to me tomorrow.
Dished out to you. You're gonna fucking sit there with a fucking bucket tied around your neck, and it's gonna be slopped in for you.
I wouldn't mind. All
right, so I'll mention the Castle Cornette menu, and then you tell me if you can concur with these Thanksgiving items. For heaven's sake, because we always have these. We had since it was we were in the bubble, and Harley only eats a little bit of turkey. So we got the turkey breast, but Stace makes when she does a whole bird, she stuffs onions up that thing's crotch and has the herb seasoning rub all over it and everything. She did the same thing basically with this, except it didn't have a crotch. We got the turkey breast, and she makes them. It's not dry. A lot of times people's turkey breast is dry. It's like chewing roofing tile. No, when she does the whole bird, there's a procedure where it's turned over for part of the time so the juice drips back down or whatever. I don't know, but this one was just gorgeous. With the mashed potatoes and gravy, my mother's broccoli and cheese casserole recipe, the cinnamon apples, a little stuffing. I like the mashed potatoes. She likes the stuffing. And then a big old white bundt cake with white icing that she got at the Nothing Bundt Cake store for dessert. Now, can you possibly find fault with that?
I guess not. I mean, if it makes you happy, if it floats your boat.
What if it makes you like I was held down and force-fed this slop, this gruel?
Hey, I'm not going to stand here and let you speak about Stacy's cooking like that. I'm not going to allow that.
Well, just the menu items themselves, not the creator of or the chef of. But what do you have some kind of off-brand holiday meal that you go through?
No, I'm pretty, I guess, middle of the road when it comes to Thanksgiving. I'll have my turkey breast, but I only want it with the cranberry sauce and the sweet potato yam or whatever the hell it is with the marshmallows on top. And
that's very good. A sweet potato casserole, that's very good. We didn't have one, but I'd go for that.
The green bean, whatever the hell it is, that's good too. The stuffing. Suzanne likes to put chorizo in the stuffing, but I'm not too crazy about that, but that may be what I end up eating. And then
there's a way to do that with bacon too, and you won't get so much heartburn.
I just want the stuffing. I got plenty of other shit there to mix with the stuffing. Then I try to get a little bit of everything on the fork for each bite, because they all go together so well. And then with the dessert, we'll see what happens. We'll see if I'm still conscious.
We'll see what happens. We'll just see what happens.
We'll see if I'm still awake.
Cranberries. Cranberries.
You don't like cranberry sauce?
No, I don't want any kind of cranberry. Don't want cranberry juice, cranberry sauce, cranberries. None of it. And speaking of which, you touched on this. Why are millions of people traveling for it's like the pandemic's off for the holiday weekend, folks. Are they still not is it all the Trump suckers that he's talked into thinking this is a hoax? Or no. Why it's not the last Thanksgiving they're ever going to make. Fortunately, if Trump had got reelected, I would have said, hey, maybe we might not have another one. You better get out there and celebrate it. But
I don't think it's that at all. I don't think it's the Trump people at all. I mean, that's part of it, but I think it's just people who they've come to the conclusion, I just have to see my family. And I've just never had that feeling.
Whoever thinks that?
I've never been like, I have to go through this and see my family. No, I'm going to sit here and read.
I mean, the procedure of just traveling in the middle of the holiday season with crowds and lines and air travel and a pain in the ass that is, but now in the middle of a pandemic where they assume everyone has been exposed, especially if you've gone through an airport with people from all over the place. It's a petri dish. And it's not the last thing. They've actually got a couple of vaccines that are in the final stages, as they say. They've already predicted, and everything that's been predicted has come to pass. Spikes, when they said there was going to be spikes because of activities that were super spreaders, that they said were going to be super spreaders. Why, Jerichovid is a master of spotting those and being right at ground zero. And Now they're predicting another big spike for the winter and don't travel. The Center for Disease Control says, be patriotic, hold down the spread of disease, make sure you don't hurt or kill any innocent people that you come in contact with, and just stay home for Thanksgiving one time. And if they react like that, they say, oh God, you're going to be prisoners of war. We're going to run you into the concentration camp. Flee now.
Maybe Jericho's like onto something here. Maybe heavy usage of vodka kills off the virus.
Hey, it'd be more enjoyable than injecting bleach, but probably as efficacious as well. But anyway, and hopefully, thankfully, most of the folks who are listening to us now have stayed home with their immediate family or all by themselves and enjoy the peace and quiet. Because I think that the people that have families have probably longed for the time when they could get some peace and quiet, and the people that are alone and don't have families have forgotten, because they don't have families, how precious that peace and quiet and solitude is after they've had families. So everybody be thankful for what you got and stay in one place and don't breathe on nobody and don't let anybody breathe on you. And as my mother used to say, it won't be as long as it's been. Speaking of which, it won't be as long as it's been until the adults are in charge again, Brian. And the main whiny baby still won't admit it. And once again, the news for our international listeners, if I was a normal times sitting in the United States listening to a podcast from England or Australia or Germany, where they were saying the shit that we say about what's going on in the United States, I'd think it was a comedy program. I think it had to be made up. But no, ladies and gentlemen, for our international audience, the idiot still not only won't admit that he lost, he's still saying it was rigged, but things are going to happen. Wait till they see our evidence. Meanwhile, nobody's ever going to see his evidence because they're getting laughed out of court everywhere because ex-President Pigshit can just pull stuff out of his ass on Twitter. But when they go to court, Brian, you've been in many courtrooms. You're aware of this. When they go to court, they have to his attorneys have to present facts and evidence, and they have licenses, and they have to swear to things. And so all the bullshit that he's talking about on his Twitter that the Trump suckers are buying and believing in, that also gets now Fox News. He's too bullshit for Fox News now. So they've left him. So he's going to the OAN network and all the right-wing conspiracy fuckwits. And they're parroting this. All the conspiracy theories of how dead people voted and how hundreds of thousands of voting machines changed the votes to Biden and blah, blah, blah. But in his lawsuits in court, he can't allege any of this shit or elsewise his attorneys will get disbarred. Therefore, they're just saying, please don't do this. And the judges are going, get the fuck out of here. But his dim-witted, gullible, Cro-Magnon supporters and the gutless, feckless, erectionless Republicans that are still humoring him because they want his suckers to be their suckers too, still actually can't come out and admit it because they're afraid he'll get mad. Now, he pardoned Michael Flynn. You saw this, Brian, right? He pardoned the criminal that pled guilty, not just was convicted, but actually said, yeah, I did it, of lying to the FBI about his conversations with Russia, a adversarial foreign power, and the landlord of Trump land, because he probably owes them all the money, and we're going to find that out soon enough. But anyway, he pardoned Michael Flynn. I'm sure there's going to be some others. And Brian, you've heard it. For our international audience, it's all over the news now. He's already retweeted a tweet from someone who floated the idea that he should pardon himself to make sure that the evil left can't persecute him and his family, and etc. Did you see this? You heard about this? You read about this?
I've seen various things in the last few days, yeah.
I hate it when I'm right. I hate it when I'm right, and it happens so often that I'm just miserable all the time. What have I been saying? For how long have I been saying it for? But months and months. He'll pardon himself on the way out. And you even said, can he do that? Well, he's going to try to do it. And before the fucking Supreme Court that he's appointed and whoever else has to get involved tries to muck through it all, he'll be dead of old age. He's shitting himself. He knows they're going to try to put him in jail because that's where his ass belongs. That fat, feculent piece of shit. And his whole criminal family, douchebag von fuckface and Thurston shitbag the third. Which one's the cokehead and which one's the guy? His teeth make Kevin Dunn's look normal. His whole fucking twat, the twat section of the family, melanoma, and Ivana Dick, all of them, he's going to pardon every single one of them, and then we're all going to find out that they've taken this much money and they haven't paid taxes and they did this and they lied about that and they fucking whatever, and he thinks he's going to get away with it. And now he's shitting himself because he was real sure he's going to get away with it as long as he was president. And now on the way out, after all the other things the other ways that he's embarrassed the United States of America for 4 years, on the way out, he's a delusional, whiny, crying, squealing loser, yelling at stupid people that he was robbed. And there's plenty of people to fucking hear that because we almost flunked the IQ test again, as we mentioned a few weeks ago, that it was this close. It was like 6 or 7 million votes or whatever between Donald fucking Trump and a sane, rational adult that knows how to do this shit, and he barely squeaked by. We're a bunch of fucking idiots, is what we are. But anyway, again, I was right, Brian. How many, did you keep a running total, or is that Kippelman's job, of how many times I'm right about stuff?
I don't know whose job it is.
Weren't we supposed to put somebody on that?
Nope. We never discussed that before.
No, we didn't. Put somebody on it, for heaven's sake.
How many times you're right? We have to track how many times you're right?
We need to have some kind of way to track down when I'm right about things so that we can keep track.
Should the same person keep track of how many times you're wrong about things? That's the big question.
Well, don't just have one person for that. He'll have nothing to do. No, say we're wasting resources hiring a guy just to do that job. He'll be like the Maytag repairman. Let Kippelman do both. He can handle both. Is that his legal name?
Lou Kippelman? Yes, that's his legal name.
Well, I heard Lou was his nickname, but Kippelman was his legal name because he comes from a single-parent household, so he only has one name.
His name is Lou Kippelman. The listeners have no idea what you're talking about right now.
Well, I'm trying to keep track of these things here. Folks, I'll tell you one thing. If you want to see the ex-president of the United States framed for crimes he did commit, I know the best frames in the history of the world. Our friends at Skylight Frames. See that transition? You can get framed the right way with Skylight Frames, folks. Hey, the holidays are just around the corner. Well, we already had one, and we're fixed to come up on the big one, Christmas. And if you want to stay safely connected with your loved ones during the holidays, then you need to give them a gift of a Skylight frame. We've talked about them on the program here for several weeks now. It's not just a frame for a picture. It's an incredible space age. I love when they used to say that, especially in the back of the comic books when you'd order stuff. They'd say space age technology. It's a space age frame for all kinds of pictures. People can email pictures to this frame from anywhere. All the people that you give the information to can send you their pictures, and they pop up over and over again. You can do the slideshow, or you can swipe through them just like a photo album, but all in one frame. You can send thanks to the person who sent the picture. And we've mentioned, I think I mentioned this, Brian, that in this time of COVID, when we're supposed to stay physically distant, there's no limit to the kind of pictures that you can send to these things. So whether it's grandma or or Patty down in Jackson, Mississippi. It doesn't matter. Folks, all you got to do is go to Skylight Frame. Skylight, SKYLIGHT, Frame, FRAME, skylightframe.com, and use the promo code DRIVE, and you can get $10 off your purchase. $10 off your purchase. Enter code DRIVE at skylightframe.com, and they got the money back guarantee. If you're not 100% satisfied, they'll give you a full refund. So load it up with family pictures, send it to somebody in the family, and look like a hell of a guy. And they're pretty, too.
They are pretty gift. Absolutely.
And you enjoyed yours. But Brian, the thing is, you're not supposed to get it for yourself and then have people send you pictures of yourself.
That's not what I did. I got one for myself, and I sent pictures of my family using the app right to the frame. I also got one for my father for Father's Day. And again, I use my app, and I can just load up the pictures that I want him to see. And they are of the entire family, not just myself.
Well, how come it is then that Suzanne told me that she's so upset that every time she has to go into the executive suite there and look at your desk, there's that Skylight Frame sitting on your desk, just slide showing multiple pictures of you throughout your life?
A, that's not true, but B, that's a pretty good idea. I think I made
Skylight Frames, folks. Skylightframe.com, promo code DRIVE for all you egotistical maniacs out there. All right, I guess we should, here before we get too far into the nonsense of the show, I get too late maybe there, but I just heard, I guess yesterday, that Bob Ryder passed away. And I mean, all the people who really, read all the websites and are into all the wrestling news, they probably heard his name. You never saw him on television. He was a, behind the scenes guy, office guy, but some people may not know who he was, but Bob Ryder, and I'm not bringing this up to blame him, but if it hadn't been for Bob Ryder, there would have been no TNA wrestling, 18 years ago. It was him that gave Jeff and Jerry Jarrett the idea for the company when they took a vacation and were on his boat down in Louisiana or in the Gulf Coast somewhere. Bob he was a travel agent in New Orleans, but he was a big wrestling fan, and he'd got started with the early days of the websites and, the onewrestling.com and stuff. And I think he was early on, didn't he run or help run the ECW website for a while?
I believe so, yeah.
I mean, when websites were not common back then, he was in on the ground floor of that. But then when the Jarretts started TNA, they hired him, and he's been with them ever since. And, primarily the only times I ever really interacted with Bob was my, time in TNA, but he was actually one of the only people in the office, and I don't consider the wrestling in Dutch Mantell and Jeff Jarrett, but one of the only people in the office that I actually enjoyed interacting with and could talk to. He actually knew wrestling and what the fuck was going on. And he wasn't so full of shit. He knew that I knew some things that was stupid going on around there, and he wouldn't bullshit me. He wouldn't come out and knock. Well, sometimes he would, but he wouldn't just come out and knock people, but he'd roll his eyes and let you know that he knew you were with it and you could know he was with it. But he really wanted the thing to succeed and worked his ass off for everybody through the whole thing, and was still, I guess, I knew he'd had cancer years ago, and I guess it had come back. I hadn't spoken to him in quite some time, hadn't heard anything about him, but I guess it had come back, and he was still working from home for him, in this incarnation of TNA/Impact. But he was, when I went back in 2017 for the 1 week's worth of tapings, and then got home and found out Jeff was gone again and Dutch was gone again. He's the one I finally had to call and say, Bob, who do I talk to? Who's running this fucking company? Who do I quit to? Right? He's like, I don't know. Don't believe everything you read, but things are up in the air right now. I'm like, but anyway, he was really nice. It was easy to deal with Bob. He stayed on top of shit, at least in my experience. you could get a hold of him and get. I didn't have to deal with him as far as travel because I was driving. But if it was something under his bailiwick that you needed, or that you needed to tell somebody to make sure that the right people got the information, Bob was always on top of his shit as far as I was concerned. I know you knew him for a while.
No, I wouldn't say that.
But you dealt with him for a while, maybe before I did.
Well, yeah, I met him in '96 at ECW, one of their, I don't know if it was officially CyberSlam. It was just maybe another event where they had people from around the country come in who were directly tied to their web presence. And that's where I met Bob Ryder. I think Dave Shearer introduced me to him, and he was a really nice guy. And, that was the only interaction I had with him that I can remember, was just meeting him there that weekend. But a really nice guy, was really into what he was doing to help ECW at that time. And I wasn't really on the computer with wrestling stuff back then in the 90s. And I know a lot of people were, and he had a big presence. I think he was, a part of all the big groups, I guess, on Prodigy or whatever. And then, of course, he did WCW Live. When Dave had Wrestling Observer Live, the other big internet radio show was WCW Live with Bob Ryder and Jeremy Borash.
That's right. I forgot they were down there before WCW closed.
That's right. But no, I can't really say too much from my personal interaction. I met him only that one time or several times that weekend. But he was a really nice guy. Really nice guy.
But anyway, we just wanted to mention that because I always enjoyed, dealing with Bob. And he was, after our production meeting, when me and Mike Tenay and Don West would sit there and take the piss out of everything in the world, Bob's little office that he used for TV tapings and travel and everything was right around the corner. So he'd pop in every so often. But he was with it as far as the wrestling business went. He knew that things were not always perfect with what was going on with the company, but he always tried his best. So anyway, we'll miss Bob. Everybody that interacted with him was, felt the same way. I haven't seen anybody had any issues with him on the internet or whatever. That's unusual these days. Speaking of issues on the internet, though, I swear I saw this, and right before we started recording here today, I mentioned this to you, and you gave me the Skype audio equivalent of looking at me like I had a steaming turd hanging out of my mouth. But several people tweeted this to me a day or two ago, and it looked official, and it looked like something that they would do, so I took it for granted as being legitimate, that AEW was having some kind of contest or something to pick its talent, or who among its talent roster should fill the parts in a reenactment, or I think they called it a table reading of A Christmas Story, the holiday movie, A Christmas Story, with little fucking ding-a-ling that wants the Red Ryder BB gun. Little, as Oldie would say, little Johnny Dumbfuck that wants the little Red Ryder BB gun. And I mentioned this to you, and you had not seen this and scoffed at it. Have you been able to uncover any research on this?
Yeah, I found a tweet from the AEW on TNT account, which appears to be official. In celebration of 24 hours of A Christmas Story, starting Christmas Eve on TNT and TBS, we are doing a table read of the movie with AEW stars. But we need your help to cast some open roles. Check out the matchups in this thread and vote for your favorite. And I guess they, again, I'm not very familiar with A Christmas Story, but Cody Rhodes.
Wait a minute. What?
Yeah, I don't watch this movie.
Are you out of your mind?
I'm Jewish.
Hold on, just
I'm
pump the
Jewish.
fucking brakes. I don't care if you're a Martian. Just pump the brakes here. We'll do this bit here in a minute, but let's address the fucking real situation here. And once again, for our international listeners, they may not know, but the movie A Christmas Story, with one of my favorite actors in the world, Darren McGavin, and it's based on the Gene Shepard was the author, I believe, wasn't it? And regardless, A Christmas Story is a holiday movie that every year TBS and TNT, the Turner networks, own the rights to this movie for broadcast, for television, and they play it on a loop for 24 hours every Christmas, both networks. And this is a classic movie, and you can come into it at the start, in the middle, at the end. It's just a series of classic vignettes that everybody remember. The kid gets the tongue stuck to the flagpole. And the fucking leg lamp gets delivered to Darren McGavin as his prize for the fucking contest. And it's all about this child's family and happenings around the holidays when he was a young tow-headed boy. A Christmas Story. It's a classic movie. It's played over and over and over again. Everybody has seen this multiple times. And you're telling me that you are not familiar with A Christmas Story.
I've seen it on TV. I know the scene with the kid licking the pole, because that's the kid who was in the toy, Scotty Schwartz.
I've seen it on TV. That's like referring to Mona Lisa. Yeah, I've heard it's a painting.
Hey, by the way, if you're going to do a table reading with the stars of AEW, bringing up Scotty Schwartz and the toy, maybe you should do the toy. That seems to be a little more in line with what AEW really is. A rich kid comes home from school, goes to a toy store, and says, I want that man. And Richard Pryor ends up moving into his house.
You're fading the heat off your.
No, I don't care. I don't like. Look, I've seen a little bit of the movie every now and then. I've never watched it all the way through. I'm not a real big fan of it. There are certain Christmas movies I like. I like Die Hard, but I'm not a big fan.
Oh, come on! That's not a Christmas movie. It's a movie at Christmas.
But I'm not a big fan of this movie. And as a Jew, I've always thought Santa Claus is kind of a big Nazi.
What?
He's a Nazi.
Santa Claus is a Nazi.
He's wearing red. There's white. Okay. There's black. I'm not a fan of A Christmas Story.
You're not. Yeah, all right. You need to work on that one. Anyway, so are they going to? I was expecting to see this, the AEW Christmas Story. I was expecting to see that, or actually trepidatious, apprehensive that I would see this on their television program. I didn't see or hear anything about it. Is this something they're going to spring on us? Is this another cinematic masterpiece? Are they going to have the Christmas Story match?
Well, have you ever seen table reads before?
Well, that is where in the entertainment world, they sit around the table and read the script and read the various parts. But is that what are they going to shoot that?
Well, it doesn't say anything here. It doesn't say anything here in this tweet about this airing or when it would air.
Okay, so what? So they're just going to sit around in a room and jack off for their own jollies, but they want the fans to pick who gets to play, and then we don't see it? Well, I don't understand.
Well, I'm guessing maybe they won't all be in the same room, considering COVID-19. Maybe they'll have the heels in one place and the baby faces in another. But the only roles I see here that have been assigned are Jim Ross as the narrator, because nothing says warm Christmas spirit like Jim Ross.
JR.
And Cody Rhodes as Old Man Parker, and Brandy Rhodes as Mother Parker. Are they the parents of the young boy in the movie?
Yeah.
And then they're trying to figure out who's going to play Santa Claus, who's going to play all these different kids. Parkus? Is that what it says here? It's kind of small. Farkus?
Well, yeah.
Is it Farkus or Parkus? It's very small. I can't
Farkus. I think. Well, now you've got me questioning. Anyway, the point is, are they trying to suck up to TNT or what's going on with it? Because, as we said, it's a TNT and TBS tradition. It's the Turner Network people. They own this thing. Now they're showing AEW. Are they trying to suck up to the network doing this, or is it one of those deals? 30 years ago, the last time TBS and Turner people got their grubby mitts on a wrestling promotion, they actually tried to do this shit, and that fucking old dried up, withered old crone Jim Herd may want to deny it, but I was there when they had talks about that. They had originally, the Turner Home Entertainment people had come to them because they had that entire library of movies, the Turner Classic Movies, right? And they were starting Turner Classic Movie Network, and they were starting the whole 9 yards, and they wanted to cross-promote and or monetize. There is actually a quote. I can't remember whether it was one of the New York Times pieces they did, or it was whether in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution or whatever, but one of the big articles they did on Turner Broadcasting now taking over this wrestling promotion and going to make it huge and revolutionize the industry. Jim Herd was quoted as saying, well, yeah, if we've got Treasure Island, if we could find a big one-legged wrestler, we could have Long John Silver. That was in a newspaper. He was thinking that way. And I've heard people say that he, after the fact, denied he wanted to switch Ric Flair to Spartacus. Well, I don't know which gladiator it was, or maybe it was just a generic gladiator, because they had I guess watched a lot of gladiator movies. Maybe spent some time in a Turkish prison. But anyway, so now 30 years later, are they doing that? And already they were trying to cross over with the NBA on TNT, but I think we haven't heard Shaq's name out of anybody's chicken lips in the past couple of weeks. Maybe Shaq.
Yeah, boy, that went nowhere.
Shaq watched Jane Cargill and said, fuck no. I ain't going to get involved in this shit.
That went nowhere. Can you imagine?
But is this what they're doing now? They're trying crossovers. Maybe this time they're sucking up rather than having them forced on them. But I'm thinking, think about it.
I don't know. Just because, again, based on what I'm seeing here, it isn't the AEW Twitter account. It's the AEW on TNT Twitter account. Maybe this is a TNT thing saying, hey, would you guys do something like this?
Well, but here's the thing. What did Ted Turner himself say built TBS? Wrestling, which they allegedly have now. Baseball, the Atlanta Braves.
That's right.
Which they've still got, and I don't think they want AEW fucking with. And the Andy Griffith Show reruns. So I'm thinking, if they're going to do something, why don't they do it with a real TBS property, the Andy Griffith Show? Think about that. If they recast the Andy Griffith Show and did a remake, that JR could be Andy Taylor, right? Folksy homespun wisdom.
Oh, come on.
Tony Khan could be Barney Fife. Not as big around as a stack of dimes and real nervous and fidgety. Probably got some ADD before it was such a thing as diagnosed. Adam Page could be Otis Campbell because he's already drunk all the time. He just need to gain some weight. Trent's mom could be Aunt B. Think about that. She's already, Aunt B didn't drive a minivan. They didn't have them back then, but she did bake the guys some cookies, didn't she? Or was it brownies? So Trent's mom could, and little Pip, old Pip Sabian, he could be Opie if Opie was a really, really small child. And then I'm thinking, my favorite episodes of Andy Griffith were always when the Darlin Boys came to town, right? Briscoe Darlin and the Darlin Boys. Because then you got some good music too and everything. And they're big on musicals. We know that now in AEW, right? They'll break into song and dance in a heartbeat. So what about and we found out old dwarf dong sucker, Marco Stunt, he's got a whole family. He's got his brother looks just as snaggle-toothed and emaciated and girlish as he does. And old Jelly, he looks like a trailer park meth cooker, so he could fit right in there. You could have dwarf dong sucker and his brother and Jelly could be the Darlin Boys. And they could come to town. And they could get tossed in jail there in Mayberry, right in the cell next to Chris Jericho, who was coming through in his sports car and violated the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit and got picked up by Tony Khan for speeding. And all of a sudden, while they're sitting there in jail, they could break into a fucking song and dance version of Dooley. What do you think, Brian? Would that work?
It could, I guess.
Dooley was a good old boy, lived below the mill. Dooley had 2 daughters and a 40-gallon still. One gal watched the boiler, the other watched the spout. Mama corked the bottles when old Dooley fetched 'em out. Dooley, slipping up the holler, Dooley, trying to make $1. Dooley, give me a swaller and I'll pay you back someday.
I'm guessing.
Now I remember very well the day old Dooley died. The women folk looked sorry and the men stood around and cried. They buried Dooley on the hill up there all alone. Laying right next to his still a barrel for a stone. Dooley, slipping up the holler, Dooley, trying to make $1. Dooley, give me a swaller and I'll pay you back someday.
All right, enough of this garbage song.
It's Dooley.
It sucks.
It's bluegrass.
I'm guessing Tony Schiavone is Floyd the Barber.
Tony Schiavone. Because, Howard McNear, who played Floyd the Barber, had a neuromuscular thing of some, he had a stroke or whatever, and he had to do all of his scenes for the last couple seasons he was on the show sitting down. And the more I see Tony in not only as his waistline expands, but as he is dressed in a suit and tie from the waist up and neon fucking pajama pants from the waist down, I think possibly Tony is in the first stages of Alzheimer's because he's forgetting to completely dress all the way. Anyway,
his pants really did stand out this week, but
no, this week I made note of it. He had a suit, jacket, and a tie, and a collared shirt, and he had bright magenta pajama pants on. What do they?
Maybe he's shopping with Miro. You don't know.
Sitting down, fucking behind the desk, or did somebody might ever once see him from head to toe?
Look, all of a sudden he has an earring. He's obviously having some sort of identity.
Tony Schiavone does not have an earring.
Tony Schiavone has an earring.
What?
He's having some sort of identity crisis.
He's the epitome of an old white man. He's older and whiter than me.
Is he older than you?
I believe he is.
Well, he has an earring.
Oh my God, look at him. I'd hate to think he's not. Look like that and not even be as old as me? Where did you see his earring?
On his ear.
Well, I guess
you haven't noticed. I mean, it's been there for a while. This isn't a new thing.
I'm not sitting there just looking at Tony Schiavone's ears, just fixated on
When they show him on TV, it's glaring that all of a sudden he has an earring. Bob Caudle never had an earring.
Lance Russell never had an earring.
And there's Tony Schiavone, and he looks ridiculous, and he has a fucking earring now.
I've never seen this. I can buy an earring on Mario Galinto.
Yes.
But not Tony Schiavone.
No.
It just doesn't fit.
No.
Well, they all want to play with the cool kids. What is this? It should be MLC wrestling, midlife crisis wrestling.
And then Jericho would get the title back.
Well, there you go. He is the champion.
He is the champion of the midlife crisis.
Tony, you're an old white man from North Carolina. Please take the earring out. You're going to hurt yourself. Well, what all have we done here? I don't know.
That's a great question.
Not very much. I'll tell you one thing. If you're going to order from JimCornette.com, do it pretty fucking damn quick. We've got all kinds of, I've been getting scoops from the post office that indicate that the volume of mail is through the roof this year. A lot of people sending stuff because they're not going to be there in person. Whatever the case, we talked about this last week. The local news across the country is giving out some bullshit deadlines of when to mail before Christmas. It's not realistic. So subtract 2 or 3 days from the deadlines they give you. But if you order before or by December 7th, 8th, 9th, don't push it. Don't push it to the 10th. Single numbers. If you order by then in December, I think that I'm going to be able to turn things around and get it to you by Christmas. Because even priority mail sent out after December 16th or 17th is going to be iffy for Christmas. And I've got a turnaround time as I'm only one man. I mentioned 9 a.m. to 5:30 on Thanksgiving Day, Brian. I was in the mail order mines. I'm dedicated to my customers. And I got a bunch of stuff wrapped up and everything domestically through Wednesday, November 25th is either in the mail or will be in the mail by Saturday morning of Thanksgiving weekend. Before you hear this, folks, and the internationals will be shipping out on Monday from the last few days. So I'm almost caught up, but they're coming in at a high rate of speed now. The conveyor belt is picking up. So I'm not even going to sell the products. They're selling themselves, but just do me and yourselves a favor, folks. If you want it by Christmas, get your order to me by the 7th, 8th, 9th of December. I'm going to be doing nothing but recording this show and filling orders. I will turn it around and I'll get it in the mail to you. That's domestics. Internationals, realistically, you may be fucked. But there is still a chance if I get it this week, especially Canada and some people in the major cities. But otherwise, you may be screwed. I'm still taking the orders and I'm still filling them, but don't yell at me if you do the New Year's gift exchange instead of Christmas. But you know what, Brian? I've figured this out. If the people don't want to order quickly from JimCornette.com, then what they can do is they can have a painting made of what they would have looked like opening my package under their tree on Christmas morning, because they won't have my shit, so they'll have to look at the painting and see how happy they would have been. And folks, I know exactly where you can get that painting. From our friends at Paint Your Life. Is that not right, Brian?
That is most certainly right, and I think that's a great idea for the listeners right now. Go get some paintings of yourselves opening up these fantasy packages from Jim Cornette that don't arrive.
And look how happy you would have been if you'd have just ordered earlier from JimCornette.com, because you see that painting from Paint Your Life of you with that big beaming smile and holding all the DVDs and the books and the T-shirts and the face masks. It would have been great. You would have been so happy, and you're going to be so happy when you get the Paint Your Life painting. Brian, how many lives have you had painted now? You're like a cat. You've had 9 lives painted now. You're giving these things out like popcorn to people. Folks, if you want a professional hand-painted portrait, this is not some computer-generated bullshit. You can have it created from any picture, any photograph, or any combination of photographs. If family members did not coexist in the same time eras, now you can have them together in a painting. You can put the whole family together, even if they're not geographically in the same place, the same state, even the same country. Whether it's a beloved pet, a special place, a friend, an ex, a current, whatever the case may be, you can have a custom-made, hand-painted portrait delivered to you from the folks at Paint Your Life. You work with them. You choose from a team of world-class artists and work with them on the details, and then they execute the painting, and it's a great gift for yourself or anybody else. And at paintyourlife.com, there's no risk. If you don't love the final painting, then your money is refunded, guaranteed. And right now, limited time, within the sound of my voice, if you're hearing this now, you can get 20% off of your painting, 20% off and free shipping. And to get the special offer, text the word DRIVE, D-R-I-V-E, to 64,000. That's DRIVE to 64 with 3 zeros behind it. Text DRIVE to 64,000, 20% off, free shipping. Paint Your Life. Celebrate the moments that matter most. Get paintings of yourself with stuff you'd like to have, and see how happy you would be if you had it. All right, I got an email. Like to hear it? Here it goes. This is from Will in Vermont. And I picked this because this was something that you had just mentioned, or a subject that you had just mentioned here recently on the program. Hi, Jim. I recently watched WCW's World War III 1995, as it was a show I had never watched before. On the card was what seemed to be an out-of-place women's tag team match featuring 4 Japanese women, Bull Nakano and Akira Hokuto, Pikachu, how do you say that?
I believe it's Hokuto.
Akira Hokuto versus Mayumi Ozaki and Cutie Suzuki. As I am watching this match, I am noticing things that I see prevalent in many of the matches of the so-called artists of modern wrestling. Undersized wrestlers doing power moves, fake-looking punches and kicks, unsafe work, nonsensical no-selling, crummy-looking synchronized spots, and kickouts of what should be match-ending moves. In this case, Bull Nakano kicking out of 4 top rope stomps to the chest. In all fairness, if anybody was able to kick out of 4 top rope stomps to the chest, it would be Bull Nakano. However, my question is this, says Will in Vermont. Why do 3/4 of all Elite Wrestling's executive vice presidents seem to think that mid-90s Japanese women's wrestling is the standard by which wrestling should be measured? There is the question, Brian. You had mentioned when I was going on one of my tirades about not wanting to see little bitty women wrestling. Well, what about the Japanese women? Well, apparently Will in Vermont doesn't have no time for that either, according to this document right here. What say you?
Well, once again, let me remind you what you say, which was that you liked classic All Japan women's wrestling. But obviously, when you hear from a source like Will in Vermont, it really makes you put things in perspective.
I said I didn't see that much wrong with All Japan Women's Wrestling because I can't honestly. I watched the tapes at the time in passing. It's not like something that I studied. But now it seems that other people seem to think that it had started a trend.
Here's what I think, and I don't think that it's necessarily about the women, and I don't like to just paint with a broad brush and say that, I don't want to see any more Japanese women on the shows or anything, but I do think if you go back to, let's say, that event or that time period, 1995, if you look at what's happening in wrestling and then you look at wrestling in 2020, the influence of American wrestling is probably the smallest. It's lucha libre and it's Japanese wrestling in the ring. And then, unfortunately, the outside the ring stuff, what we classically call angles and promos, those are more influenced by the early part of this century's Monday Night Raw, not by classic wrestling from, the 90s, things were starting to go downhill, but before then, in the 80s or the 70s or any other time.
So basically what you're saying is the wrestlers for the in-ring stuff, they're marks for the all-action offense and video game style, and outside the ring, they're marks for bad sketch comedy.
Yeah, actually, I think that's exactly what I'm saying.
Well, shit, I guess we could just put an end to the bit then.
Yeah. You understand what I'm saying. If you look at the in-ring work, it's lucha libre, it's Japanese junior heavyweight wrestling, and then the outside the ring stuff, all the it'd be one thing if you had those kind of matches and then serious hardcore angles, but everything is just goofy right off Monday Night Raw at the turn of the century. That's what everything is. To the point where if anything is different than that, if anything for a second appears serious, like the Brandy Rhodes promo a couple weeks ago, you're like, oh my God, where did this come from? This is amazing. I wish wrestling was more like this. I wish wrestling is more like a serious Brandy Rhodes promo.
What the fuck is going on in this world?
Because this is how far we have fallen. But the other thing is, I'm one of those people that in the 90s was trading tapes, and I loved seeing the high-quality main event matches from All Japan. I wasn't as big on the junior heavyweights in New Japan as other people, but I enjoyed seeing them. I loved the J Cup when that came out in 1994. That was a big, big deal. Everyone wanted to see that. And I saw the big lucha stuff, but I wanted to see angles. That's one of the reasons I liked Smoky Mountain Wrestling. It's one of the reasons I traded for Memphis tapes in the 90s. Most people don't consider Memphis in the 90s classic Memphis, although there was great stuff in 93. There was great stuff in 95.
They did great angles. Because they were trying to draw money instead of entertain themselves.
That's what I wanted. I wanted promos and angles, and I also wanted to see the top matches, and I love those All Japan matches. I still do. I think they hold up. I like the seriousness in them.
That's actually going back to the late 70s and through the 80s. Loved Japanese wrestling on tape because you got to see the dream matches with guys that, Ricky Steamboat versus Nick Bockwinkel. When would that ever happen in the United States? But they didn't have any promos. There was no promos and angles, no trash talking. You had to see American wrestling to see the guys be themselves. Now we've got no serious in-ring pro wrestling matches because everybody has decided that they want to be performers and adopt the super lucha gymnastic style. And we've got no serious promos and angles because nobody can cut them and nobody's trying to be serious if they could. So we got nada. And I blame the Japanese women's wrestling, just like Bill in Vermont.
Oh, stop it.
Anyway.
Hey, can I ask you a question? It's a weird off-topic thing, but it came...
Well, go ahead. It couldn't hurt at this point.
It came to me yesterday, and I realized I don't know the answer to this. But I took a break from reading, and I went down a couple different wormholes of YouTube videos. One of them, I've gotten addicted to watching chiropractors on YouTube. This is guy in Houston. This Dr. Johnson, and he just destroys people in a nice way, in a good way, in a stress-relieving way. But he puts them on his table, he cracks all their bones, and then he puts a towel around their head.
Yeah.
And just yanks on it to get
neck.
them. Yeah, you've had this done to you?
Well, yes.
By a chiropractor? By a trained, licensed chiropractor?
No, by some of the boys in the locker room.
What?
Well, that's what
Who?
I don't.
Who is the locker room chiropractor?
Well, a lot of actually, the only good thing that Tim Horner was ever good for was he cracked good backs. We should have made him the trainer and kept him out of the ring. But no, a lot of the guys used to adjust each other. That was a nightly thing. You'd be laying there on the bench. Okay, I'm laying there on the bench, face down. Somebody comes and gives you the crack in the middle of the back, or you wrap the towel around the neck and you pull the fucking neck. If you know what you're doing, it can pop it into place real good. If you don't know what you're doing, it might paralyze you. I don't know. But guys would do that to each other constantly back in those days.
But I've gotten hooked on this guy's videos, and he's great. I'm never going to go to Houston to see him, but I'm thinking about having a friend loan me a jet so I can fly him up here. This guy's great. And Brooke Adams from TNA, she's on a bunch of these videos. And I got to think the cameraman may be a little bit of a perv, because sometimes he just focuses on the ass jiggling while the guy's like pushing on the back. But anyway, I watched a bunch of these. There's a couple other chiropractors. They all have their own unique techniques now. It's really weird seeing this. I realized that the bullshit chiropractor I went 2 years ago in Long Beach, and that's a whole other story. This guy didn't know what the hell he was doing.
Oh, wait a minute. You didn't go to that guy in Long Beach, did you?
I went to a guy, real quick, I'll tell you.
Holy mackerel, I think I saw him on the news. Go ahead.
I went to this guy. I was in a car accident. I was probably like 21 years old. And the doctor, who was another piece of work, this guy, after he prescribed me a ton of painkillers, he said, you may want to think about chiropractic. And I said, oh, I've never really even considered it. So I go to this guy. I'm not even going to say his name because it's not worth it. But this guy's still there, I think. And I go a few times and, he cracks my back. I think he did like electric stimulation on my back also, and he cracked my neck. And then one day, he kept trying to get me to come for Saturday morning that he teaches like a seminar to his patients about how to deal with the pain and manage the pain and get by and not let back pain ruin your life. And I didn't have that bad of back pain. I only went for like a few weeks and then I stopped. But one day, there was a curtain, and he accidentally, I don't know if it was an accident or not, but the curtain wasn't closed. So for the first time, I got to see what was on his little chalkboard. And I assumed this was for his students on Saturday morning. It said, pain plus Jesus equals no pain. And I said, well, I'm done with this crackpot, and I'm getting the fuck out of here. And that was the last time I went to that goof.
No, wait a minute. He was prescribing that brand new drug, Najesus.
Yeah, he certainly was. He had an assistant. She would answer the phone. It was the most long-winded shit you ever heard. She would go like, every day we had like a nickname. It's like, Marvelous Monday, you've called blah, 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 blah. This is Candy speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, Candy, let me know when it's Titty Tuesday.
You would think she'd be a real nice person because she goes out of her way to name every day with some kind of nice nickname. And then she was the meanest bitch ever. But anyway, I've gone down the hole of these chiropractic videos. I'm hooked. I just want to experience all of these things, except for the one woman. She starts scraping their backs and they start bleeding. I don't know what the hell that is.
What?
Yeah, there's this woman. She seems like a very good chiropractor otherwise. And then she takes out like this fucking blade or whatever the fuck it is. It's like a dull blade. And she starts scraping the backs of the patients to get like the first layer of skin off. I don't know what that bleeding does. And I mean, it's not like Abdullah the Butcher bleeding or anything, but blood starts coming out of the pores.
I don't think that's appropriate or something that's supposed to be going on. I don't think skinning alive is part of a normal chiropractic regimen.
There's another guy that whistles while he massages the patient. All of his patients seem to be women, by the way, but he like whistles while he's rubbing their backs. And now like the big thing too is they hook up microphones close to the patient because there are people who are hooked on the sound of it's not even bones, but I guess of the joints being cracked.
I can hear mine just fine.
Well, there are microphones like right on these people. The one guy in Houston that I love, Dr. Johnson, he calls his fans the crack addicts because they're hooked on the back cracking sounds. But anyway, I went down that hole. And then you need some type of hobby outside the wrestling podcast. Isn't the wrestling news keeping you busy that you're going down wormholes? I'm busy, but
quack doctors.
This is what happens on YouTube. And I don't know if they're quack doctors. Like I said, I want that guy. It goes with the ring dinger when he puts the thing around your neck and he pulls it. I kind of want that now. But anyway, the other one I went down are one of the big things now on YouTube are reaction videos. where people react to something they're experiencing for the first time. And the ones I got hooked on, and I was like, wow, this is fascinating, are people reacting to music videos, or more specifically, songs. You know, because it's not necessarily just the music video era. A lot of the videos I watched were like people reacting to the Righteous Brothers. You know, like they're like, oh my God, he's white? You know, they couldn't believe when they're watching this. And I saw a few reaction videos of Elvis doing Suspicious Minds. And this is where my question comes in. When exactly did Bill Dundee start wearing his jumpsuit?
Well, I can tell you the answer to that question, Brian Last, because the first, it was an evolution. He had a 1977 pink set of jacket and pants that was sort of Elvis-like, but not really. And there was a lot of superstar in that. And then it morphed by the time 78 came around, he had gone full, because Lawler flirted with it. Because Lawler should have been the Elvis, the King. He had the hair, he had the glasses, but he didn't do the jumpsuits.
But now Elvis died in August of 77, right?
You are correct.
So Dundee was doing that before Elvis died?
It was starting to head that way. Because when he and George Barnes came in and they were heels, I think he had the same, like, this old purple, looked like velour jacket. They had heel jackets and warm-up jackets and shit. And then when he switched babyface, he wore T-shirts for a while. Not just a bad T-shirt, but like, you know, fucking superstarred up T-shirt. And then some of the fans started making stuff for him. And then he started, but then by I would say 78, the jumpsuits were pretty much in full effect.
Because that was what I was thinking. I was watching Elvis close to the end, because it got me going with some Elvis videos. And I'm thinking, was he ever sitting at home? We know he was watching wrestling. We know he was a fan. We know at various points he snuck into the Mid-South Coliseum to see things. But did
in all accuracy, fairness, it was the Ellis Auditorium.
The Ellis Auditorium.
By the time they started running the Coliseum in 72, I think he was too big to sneak anywhere in Memphis.
But my question was, did Elvis actually sit down on a Saturday morning, waking up from his Percodan stupor, and see a wrestler in a jumpsuit? That was what I was thinking. Did he ever see Dundee in his jumpsuit? Like, what the hell is this? That was my big thought.
I would say, well, there's probably a very short window where he might have seen that, but very short, because Dundee didn't even switch babyface until early 70s, late 75, early 76. And then there was the tag team period there, blah, blah, blah. Maybe, but at the same time, he was certainly watching Lawler call himself the King and do records on Saturday mornings. And there was the talk of trying to get a match, which who knows whether that would have gone anywhere or not, but Elvis kind of died and ruined the whole thing. He knew what was going on.
All right. Well, thanks for answering my question.
I don't even know where any of that was going. Where did we start? Where did we start?
World War III women's tag team match.
Ah, well, let's not go all the way back that far, for fuck's sake. But that we did establish that today's wrestlers never learned the Lance Storm principle that he espouses. When he learned in Smoky Mountain Wrestling how not to have the match he wanted, but how to have the match the people wanted.
Come on, when did the people ever want a Lance Storm match?
Oh, come on now. Folks, if you're taking too many finishes and popping right up afterwards, but you're still sore after, you know what you need to do? You need to get on the Omax. Folks, we've been talking about the Omax Cryo Freeze Pain Relief Roll-On that's so insanely popular. We've talked about their Sport Recovery Cream. Now we're talking about the Advanced Joint Defense, the one-a-day supplement with hemp-derived CBD and a clinically proven ingredient called NEM that relieves joint discomfort and soreness in 7 days or less. It's a breakthrough formula that reduces aches and pains from sore muscles, joint overuse, aging. If you want to stay active, it's a must for muscle recovery, flexibility, long-term joint health. And they say the best part is it contains absolutely no THC. Some people have taken issue with that being the best part. But, folks, it is quality that works. And, folks, right now, Omax is offering my listeners, that's you out there in listener land, a limited time offer, 20% off the introductory pricing on Omax Cryo-Freeze supplements and any product site-wide through the end of this month. Just go to omaxhealth.com, OMAXhealth.com, and enter code JCE to take advantage of the incredible savings. 20% off site-wide. Not only the no THC, but CBD-powered Cryo-Freeze Advanced Joint Defense Supplements, but also the Cryo-Freeze Roll-On, the Sport Recovery Cream, all the good stuff they got. Omax, I can't say it enough. Omax Health. What are you laughing at? OmaxHealth.com. Don't let muscle soreness continue to be an excuse for not living an active lifestyle. Go to OmaxHealth.com to feel relief faster. That's what I'm telling everybody to do. I didn't feel better faster when I watched this past week's NXT programming. Should we talk about that for a second?
Should we?
It's not even a review. It's just some random thoughts.
Okay.
Because they're not giving me much to work with here. The first match this is for November 25th, the Wednesday night. The Wednesday Night Wars, both sides have there's been a ceasefire and we didn't know it. They're not trying anymore. They're just going to take the same people they've got every week and be satisfied with it. First match on NXT, Ember Moon versus Mrs. Sameface. That's when I wrote they have completely given up on the idea of a ratings war. In the Monday Night Wars, back when it was really competition, when did they start Raw with a 20-minute girls match?
I don't think ever.
Ever?
Never.
Well, they did it here. So I exercised the Mrs. Sameface rule and gained 20 minutes of my life back. Was there anything I missed?
I executed the exact same rule, knowing you would, so I wouldn't feel too guilty. And I was amazed how long it went, to be quite honest with you.
It was amazing in the length of it.
I couldn't believe that. And then I stopped it when the post-match action started happening, so at least I could see the angle, or what's supposed to be an angle, whatever the hell was going on there. But I didn't watch the match. Okay,
well, let's move on. Because 20 minutes into the show started.
Wait, you didn't see the angle after the match?
I didn't care. Tony Storm's a heel now.
That's right.
Yeah, she's been here for 3 weeks, and she's switched, which beats Will Hobbs by a week and a half on the other program. We'll get to all that in a second. But anyway, I didn't care about these people. But I did care about seeing the Undisputed Era. And 20 minutes into the show, it started and the stars showed up. You're telling me they couldn't have put the Undisputed Era segment on first to hook people and then put the girls' match on? But nevertheless, they did a live promo in the ring as last we left NXT. McAfee and his gang of heels were taking credit for killing the Undisputed Era, blah, blah, blah. Adam Cole comes back and cuts a great promo. They promoted the War Games that they've got coming up. Roddy has even found a tone where he can chime things in, and he always struggled with speaking. But Cole did great because you can tell that a writer has come up with this topic, but he makes it sound natural and he uses his own words. And so it wasn't egregious sitting there, you think, oh, somebody told us got to say this. You can buy it from him. And O'Reilly, who also used to struggle somewhat with promos, but he has to be the one to face Pete Dunne tonight for the War Games advantage. Then they used to just flip a coin. Now they got to have a ladder match. I can understand having a match to determine who gets the advantage in the War Games and the staggered entrances, but they got to have a ladder match. So we've got a hat on a hat, but at least it stars. So I'm not going to argue too much. They did a babyface promo without being cutesy baby faces. They just fired people up for the match and said what they were going to do and they didn't say anything that the Undisputed Era shouldn't say, but they didn't go out of their way to be heelish to do it. It fit the position. They're baby faces without changing themselves. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. Obviously, them being baby faces was cemented when JJ won the coin toss at the end of the episode. But, the big thing, we haven't seen them in a while. While Kyle O'Reilly wasn't as good at reciting material that he was given, Adam Cole, top 5 promos in the business. He's so good. And everything he says comes across as he is saying it. As if he is saying it, I should say. He doesn't seem like he's reciting lines, even though I'm sure he is. He is really, really good on the mic, and it stands out. We haven't seen him in several weeks. We haven't heard him talk in a while. Really good. This was great.
Well, and in all fairness, I've heard Kyle be better in NXT when he's more fired up. Here, he was trying to be the serious guy. I want to take this responsibility. And I think Adam is natural no matter what. I think Kyle was finding his groove there as being kind of that smarmy-faced little fucking prick heel. And he might have to figure out a little more about how to speak in his new role here. But yeah, at least they've got a long track record of being presented as stars, as somebody in the environment there, top guys, however you want to say it. And they're talking about top guys. With McAfee around, that's instantly, whoever's with him is instantly a top guy. So, hey, actually, a great wrestling promo broke out that made me interested in seeing this fucking match they're talking about. I'm sure between now and then, somebody will screw it up. But then we go to, was that your final thoughts on that, by the way? It was a nice promo.
It was good. Adam Cole is fantastic on the mic. Whatever he lacks in size and the gravitas that comes with the size, he more than makes up for with his ability to look directly into the camera and talk. He's fantastic.
Yeah. And he works like somebody, and at least he has, I think these days it's better to have a little height than a little weight. Because if you've got a little height, nobody's big these days, so they can take you being thin. But these short guys, I just, I'm seeing a lot of guys that ain't scraping 5'6" these days. But anyway, the next match was one of those that I had mixed feelings about because it's Timothy Thatcher against Kushida. Is Kushida going to wrestle a long match on every NXT program from now until the end of time?
In his jeans, yes.
In his jeans and sneakers. Austin Theory quit the business. But we gotta watch Kushida apparently he did quit, and I don't blame him.
Did he really quit?
Well, he said, I quit and left, and we haven't seen him or heard from him since. They're showing me fucking Kushida every week, but I can't see Austin Theory at all. Know what? If I was Austin Theory, I'd quit too if this guy was on TV every week, and I wasn't. And I like Timothy Thatcher, and immediately Ciampa comes down and sits ringside with a chair. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch this for the interaction eventually between Ciampa and Thatcher. And I figure this is a way to get them involved. But any new viewer would say, scoffingly say that, there are no new viewers, right? But any new viewer would say, why is this wrestler fighting a kid in blue jeans from the crowd? And by the way, Steen was on commentary with Beth and who's he, what's he?
Vic Joseph.
There you go. He does great promos for himself, but as an announcer, he is blasé and headed toward completely bored. He doesn't get excited. He doesn't treat anything seriously. He just makes little witticisms in a kind of a tone of voice like this, where I don't, was there?
It's a Canadian thing.
But he doesn't need to be doing it. Did you find any pithiness in his commentary?
I got to admit, I wasn't bothered by his commentary. I kind of preferred it as opposed to fucking Bad News Barrett screaming at me the whole show.
Well, But wouldn't we all just like it if somebody'd actually do it right?
Yeah, I didn't think he was terrible. Look, he has a different cadence. He's lackadaisical is kind of his thing.
Lackadaisical. There you go. That's a good word. I don't want lackadaisical announcers. I don't want phony over-the-top phony announcers. I want announcers that are really excited. Anyway, he seemed lackadaisical. Once again, Kushida would be not only appear normal size, but be the best worker on the roster over at All Petite. But I'm just waiting for Thatcher and Ciampa to get into it, and they didn't. Thatcher got out-wrestled. It's his own gimmick. He's the shooter, the hooker, the stretcher, the mat wrestler, the fucking Thatch can. He got out-wrestled and manhandled by a guy a foot shorter and 50 pounds lighter that will most probably never even make the main roster, much less be a star on it. Will Kushida ever be a star on the flagship program or even SmackDown, which is secondary? Maybe we know people are in the building. And anybody can be a star.
Yeah, I would be surprised.
But anyway, I'm thinking, okay, when are they going to get to, because they're making Kushida look very good, so when are they going to get to something interesting here? Here's the finish. Ciampa stood up out of his chair. Thatcher looked at him, then turned and went to pick Kushida up, and Kushida rolled him up and got a double wrist lock and tapped Thatcher out. And Ciampa smiled and walked off. Tapped Thatcher out. That's his gimmick. Of course it would give Thatcher a reason to be pissed at Ciampa. If he'd even done anything that would have distracted or caused a normal person to fucking lose, and just not because it was written in the finish. But it also, you just had fucking the catch-as-catch-can wrestling expert tap out to a fucking child. It's his own gimmick. What am I missing here, Brian?
I can't explain the booking of Timothy Thatcher at all. You know, when we first started paying attention to him, he defeated Matt Riddle in that fight cage thing right before Matt Riddle went up to the main roster to lose his first name. Fight Pit. And since that time, they have booked him like shit.
His students bow up and get offense on him, and he chickens out and bails out. Kushida taps him out, which is like fucking, it's like somebody beat Hulk Hogan with the leg drop, for fuck's sake. You can't. Do you see anything I missed there?
I don't think so. No, I have not.
We move on. I said this was going to be brief. The Kevin Owens show, his little talk segment. Piper's Pit ain't got nothing to worry about here. And I know everybody's going to go, oh, Cornette just doesn't like Steen. Well, I didn't like him personally, but I thought he was good professionally, but that viewpoint has come to an end here. Was he supposed to just give the impression to everybody that he was slumming, that he didn't want to be there, that he was jacking the whole thing off? And this whole thing was beneath him, and he was talking to goofs, and it's all set up. He made fun of the whole thing being set up and phony through the whole thing. That was a performance that somebody who really just was pissed off and wanted to get out of their contract would have given in days gone by. He didn't give a fuck. Now, I've noticed first when he was in the ring, he's lost weight. He had his neatly trimmed beard on. He got a haircut, and it's combed, and he's wearing a black sport coat. He's still got to have a tie with his T-shirt because he has to be a little goofy. But he looked halfway professional. Who in the world could have ever had the idea for him to just do that? That is exactly how, minus the goofy tie on the T-shirt, that's exactly how he was supposed to look when he came back in Ring of Honor with a grudge against the company. Like he'd grown up and got professional and been serious about his appearance and looking like a star and being in shape. And he squealed like a pig under a gate that we were just fucking doing horrible things to him because we expected a little level of professionalism. So his guest was the new North American champion, old Leon Ruffin, all 122 pounds of him. And just to make sure that we didn't forget about it, they showed footage of his belt falling off. And Leon was so tickled to be there, he was fangirling like fucking Kevin Steen was fucking Buddy Rogers. And this went nowhere for quite a while. And Owens was trying to pry something out of Leon, and then I think finally he got it. So of course Owens is telling him he needs more confidence and fires him up, and then Leon goes too far and thinks he's going to beat the world. And then Owens said, "What?" When Leon Ruffin mentioned Johnny Sameface's name, well, now you've done it. Owens starts, now you've said his name. He's going to be coming out here. His music will start playing in 3, 2, 1, and the fucking music starts playing. He's making open fun of this whole thing being set up and fucking written, choreographed. Then he did a bit with Gargano with the chairs. And then Owens makes fun of Damian Priest about to come out. They're actually making fun of this being a fucking set-up bunch of hokey bullshit. And by the time Priest comes out and gets in the ring, I don't even care about him because the whole segment's so insulting. But Priest comes in and somehow does his usual great job of sounding natural and like looking like a star while interacting with two midget indie guys. And Kevin Steen sits in the corner and makes fun of the whole thing as being phony. So finally, they took about 3 days to set up a 3-way, and then Owens makes fun of Regal coming out to make the 3-way, and then Regal comes out to make the 3-way. This was a segment of hot, phony fucking garbage, and as soon as Regal walked out, I fast-forwarded because I was done with it. Not because of Regal, obviously, but because of Owens calling attention that everything was phony. They gave 15 minutes of TV time to a job guy that's won the belt as a joke, and they're burying Damian Priest, who should be one of the top stars on fucking Raw, working a goddamn deal with this mono-faced midget. So apart from that, what'd you think?
I can't really give it too many compliments after that review. I don't know why Kevin Owens was there this week. It was mildly entertaining. I realized that Leon Ruff is bigger than Gargano. And I didn't realize that when they wrestled. I thought...
Well, he's taller. Now, I don't think he weighs more. I think it's like 125 to 145.
He's taller than him, and then Damian Priest comes in there, and he towers above both of them.
A grown adult.
And it looks so out of place. It was obvious they were setting up this 3-way match either last week or the week before. So, of course, it happens. William Regal has very dramatic music. And that's that.
It took them forever to tell you what you knew that they were going to do when they started this thing.
I don't care about. I'm glad this took forever if it meant that I didn't have to watch as many of the matches I don't care about on that show. I'll take this over the 20-minute girls match. I'll take this over Breezango. I'll take this over a lot of things that we see regularly on NXT. But with that said, Roddy Piper and Piper's Pit was so phenomenal to the point where everybody tries to copy it. I mean, they tried to copy it when he was there. They had the body shop and, Jake had the snake pit. But no one has ever been able to capture what made Piper's Pit work because that was Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
And I hate all of these WWE talk shows, as they call them, that happen in the ring. The Miz has one, and was it Edge and Christian have had one, and Jericho used to have one, and, various idiots have these idiot shows, and they're always so lame and so filled with bad acting. And then you see Piper's Pit, and it still holds up. It's still filled with frenetic energy.
Well, also, here's
and it's 2 minutes, and it's go watch any of those Piper's Pits.
Yes, I was about to say.
Yeah, 2 minutes.
Except for the one where they got Morton Downey Jr. and he wouldn't shut up. Every Piper's Pit was 4 minutes or less.
Yeah.
I had an interview segment. What'd they call it? The Louisville Slugger. Okay, big deal. I didn't mean they put fucking baseball bats around the ring and goddamn had me dressed in a baseball uniform. They've got to gimmick everything up. It's just, if you've got a guy that can talk and he can go out there and he can fucking interact with a guy to either a flunky to make fun of and get heat, or then he gets a top guy and there's fucking animosity there, then you've got something. But this is just fucking ridiculous. Anyway,
were you a fan of Funk's Grill?
I'm a fan of anything Terry Funk does. So yeah, I like that. But once again, it was just an interview segment where he interviewed some of the talent.
In front of a green screen.
Put his own little spin on it in front of a green screen. Yeah, most of the time. Every once in a while, they did a couple of live ones in the ring or whatever. But there was no reason for this to take place on the Kevin Owens show. It just for Owens was there to make fun of it and make fun of it being phony. And it's like the first thing I learned in the wrestling business was I can do all my insults and rip the baby faces apart, but don't shoot too much to expose the weak points. Wrestling too. Don't call me old or the fucking bald baby face or whatever. You don't want to go too close to the bone, both to make the matches easier and also because then the people realize, yeah, shit, he is old or he is bald or he is fat or whatever. And Owen spent this entire thing making fun of the entire thing being fake. I would never have aired this on local television. Anyway, the next match, Cameron Grimes versus Jake Atlas. And I would have been more happy to see this a couple months ago before they made Cameron Grimes a complete phony idiot. Nobody would ever act that way because he freaks out about Dexter Lumis being a zombie or whatever the fuck. But there wasn't anything there wasn't anything bad wrong about this. It just that they went 100 miles an hour, like their time got cut in half at the gorilla position because the previous segment probably went twice as long as it was supposed to. And it got sloppy because they were rushing. Atlas did some of his gymnastics, but finally Cameron Grimes put him out of his misery with his finish. So at least Cameron Grimes gets a win. When's the last time you saw that? But they probably got fucked partially by the hour-long Owen show, and then Lumis appeared and Cameron Grimes ran off. And Regal made a strap match here after the break with Cameron Grimes and Lumis for whenever. Wasn't a lot to comment on there.
I was happy to see Cameron Grimes get a pretty decisive victory. You forgot how impressive he is with that finishing maneuver, that double stomp he does. That looks great.
It does.
But then they have him go back to being a wrestler who's afraid of another man who just stands and stares and draws funny cartoons.
It was like did you ever see the goddamn horror movie, The Monolith Monsters?
I have not.
It was in the 50s. It was one of those science fiction. It's literally giant piles of rock that come alive and they're coming at you at a glacial pace. And even when I was a kid watching this on TV late at night, I'm not scared. I can outrun that shit. I can outrun Dexter Lumis, apparently, because all he does is stand there and stare. Anyway.
He also does his wacky crab walk.
Well, that's true. The wacky crab walk from the crab. That Jericho probably showed him that tape from Barberville. The next segment, I don't know what to say. I see Rhea Ripley. I'm thinking this show is saved. She's going to be live. All right. She comes out to the ring. She's cutting the promo. She's fairly natural. She's young. She's not that experienced, but she's got a good voice, and she did a pretty good job. And she just starts getting into it, and here comes Mrs. Same Face now with Toni Storm. Does she have to be is she the Brandy Runnels of NXT, Mrs. Same Face? It's got to be in everything with that whiny little screechy voice.
It's getting to that point.
Yeah. 16 segments anyway. Rhea Ripley, the biggest female star in wrestling and possibly one of the biggest of any gender, is in the ring, and here comes Mrs. Same Face, and Toni Storm have said she looks like a star, but she's going to get weighed down with this gray-haired twat. And then here the rest of the heel girl group, they bring Io Shirai out over their shoulder. They've attacked her and knocked her out, and they've carried her out. Again? How many times in the last 2 months have we seen somebody in a wrestling show come out carrying a body of one of their rivals or opponents and drop it at a friend of theirs' feet? It's like the cat dragging in a goddamn dead sparrow every fucking day. How many times, Brian?
It's often.
So Rhea Ripley, who just had the great match with Io Shirai and gave her respect, etc., but she wants the title. Well, then they bring Shirai out, like, this will show you, Rhea, and they drop her there. And then here comes the heels, and there's 4 of them. Well, Rhea beats them all up at first. The heel girls are so green for this kind of angle. I don't care how long they've been wrestling. They haven't been doing angles like this very long and very much, and it showed. They didn't feed or bump that smoothly. She had to go get some. She had to shove some around. Then they swarmed her and beat her up and leave Rhea Ripley down. And yes, there was 4 of them. And if it had been a good-looking beatdown or a believable angle, that'd be one thing. But they go back to the ramp and all the heels and congregate in the ring and congregate on the ramp and stand over Io Shirai, who is still completely unconscious, not moving, laying there. It's been minutes. Did they GHB her?
Oh, come on.
What did they do to her? Where's Bill Cosby? I thought he was still locked up. They didn't hit her over the head with a chair. If she'd been unconscious from a chair shot that long, they need to take her to the hospital and do a CAT scan. So they must have drugged her. This whole thing was phony as shit. Why did they have to do that? They could have beaten Rhea Ripley up after she got some offense, and it might have looked good if they hadn't have bothered to remind us that once again, it's all phony. All I couldn't take my eyes off of the girl just laying there, not moving, after all that time. What the fuck? So you've got Rhea Ripley now interacting with a bunch of small girls with Mrs. Same Face at the start, and Raquel Gonzalez, who's green, but there may be some money there eventually, but they'll probably book that into fucking non-existence before it gets there. What'd you think of this interaction?
I'm not crazy about... I'm not a Candice LeRae fan. I'm a Dakota Kai fan, and I know she's a part of Candice LeRae's little faction now. Toni Storm has just miraculously turned heel. The only thing I liked was I liked Rhea, the way when the 3 of them charged the ring, Rhea went the other way and went right for Raquel Gonzalez. I thought that was great. And then goes back in there and no one saves her. No one comes out to help.
Well, that's another thing. But
so you had these girls announce, these heel girls, that they're going to be the War Games team. Who's the babyface team? This is going to be my team in War Games. Okay. Who are you against? Why are you assigning yourself a team? You don't even have an opponent. Right? Did they ever establish? I mean, we can figure it out. It'll be Io Shirai. Ember Moon was attacked in the opening match. Rhea Ripley here. And whoever the 4th person is, you can kind of use basic deduction and figure it out. But they never assigned any babyfaces to a babyface women's war game team.
You make too much sense.
Why isn't there someone... Fuck it, I'm not going to complain right now.
Yeah.
Why doesn't someone just sit back there and try to figure out how to make things make sense? This brain trust in NXT. You guys don't know how to write good TV. Anyway, I'm sorry.
I'm glad you're not going to go into it and complain right now.
That's it. That's all I'm going to say right now.
I know you liked what came next because we had the spooky video where Boa and Shia Pet, whoever the fuck they are, were in the limousine. Zaya, Shia, Boa. They were in a limousine and they were scared to death. Must have been an Uber. And they meet the master. And the master, the old man, is there. There's subtitles. They're begging for forgiveness. And they get taken in someplace. And they get their hands painted again. And what the... is this a horror movie? Is this like the Japanese version of The Ring? Didn't they do that first in Japan where it was spooky? And I don't fucking know. But they're Chinese. These guys are Chinese, guys and girls. It's a Chinese horror movie. Maybe that's why we don't understand what's going on. Apparently the cameraman would know what's going on because he's there for all of it.
I think it's more than one cameraman who went along for that ride. Yeah.
And then, somebody in the control room has to show this. Do you think if this was the NBA and one of the players kept running into this old man that marked their hand and they were scared and begging for forgiveness, if the player brought that tape to the control room? Would the NBA play it, or would they want to go something like, what the fuck is this all about first? I don't know. The grizzled young veterans are back. They beat up Everrise, Zach Gibson, and James Drake. One of the guys was wearing a suit with high waters and no socks on. So there's that. We had Mrs. Sameface blathering on again in the parking lot. She was literally in 7 segments, I think. And then we've come to the main event. The only event, practically, a ladder match for the War Games advantage between Kyle O'Reilly and Pete Dunne. And as I said before, a ladder match to get the advantage in the War Games. It's a hat on a hat, but at least it's a main event, and we're going to see some stars. And I've been waiting for this, and they jump-start it, and they kick it off hot, and they go right to the break. Right to the break. We had to sit through a 20-minute girls match, and they go to break here, right now. So we come back. They're in the middle of the action, but they're working their asses off. And they were serious. They hit hard. They worked hard. They used the ladder, I thought, to their styles, with putting submission holds on, figuring the ladder into it. There was some different ladder shit in this than what you normally see in ladder matches, and it was more serious, and to me it meant more. They did the most of what they had with the gimmick that they were given, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I don't know if I agreed with the break spot. A vertical suplex off the apron onto a ladder, bridging the apron and the guardrail, and the ladder breaks in half, and they both hit the ground, and that's just a break spot. That can't even be like right before the finish, even. Would somebody tell old Proud Boy Ref to either tan the back of his fucking jug head or grow some hair out? It's highly distracting.
Was he the referee for this match? I didn't even notice.
Yes, and he was on another one too. Yeah, I'm just telling you, it's distracting. I mean, I know that he probably can't grow hair because you can't grow much if your soil isn't fertile. Well, in that case, actually, since he's got shit for brains, he ought to be able to grow all kinds of fucking hair. But anyway, so they went to break after the suplex through the ladder. And they come back after the break, and they're back in the ring in action. After that, that's the only thing that why did they have to do that for a break spot and then come back and they're going back and forth and doing more shit? My God, what do you got to do to put somebody in a hospital in a working way anymore? Or that couldn't have been a bump that happened right before the fucking finish? There's going to be a goddamn, O'Reilly's getting fucked anyway. So that couldn't have been leading to the finish some way anyway. Kyle gave Dunn a brainbuster on the ladder, came off the top rope with a knee drop, but Dunn moved and he hit the ladder. All this looked good. They kept it moving, all kinds of different shit. Kept it interesting. Just that big bump in the middle was just like, holy shit, you can't go anywhere after that. That was the holy shit moment. They got fucking 10 more minutes of match. Finally, Dunn clobbers Kyle with a chair and tosses him over the rail out into the people, if there were people there, and climbs the ladder, but O'Reilly comes back just in time and tips Dunn off and climbs the ladder, and out comes who was supposed to be Pat McAfee. It wasn't alleged to be. It was who was that? It really wasn't Pat McAfee. Or else was he taken the hood off? They had showed a clip earlier of McAfee from his show saying he wouldn't be there. But then this guy comes out in a hoodie and he does McAfee's flat-footed jump up to the apron. So obviously they want people to think it's McAfee, but also obviously if it had been McAfee, he'd have fucking popped the hood after he did the damage. So he couldn't be there, but they planted that seed. Anyway, McAfee in the hoodie jumps up on the apron, pushes O'Reilly over with the ladder, and he takes a hell of a bump over the top rope, and Dunn gets the case. So he gets the advantage. As you mentioned, JJ won the coin flip. I thought this was one of the more refreshing, better ladder matches, and even the bump was incredible. it was just, to me, it was out of place, because then you just get people to think every time they take one of these death-defying bumps, they should just get right back up and keep going. And it looks so good, I'd have preferred to seen that toward the end. Anyway. Hello?
Yeah?
What'd you think?
I thought it was good. I thought it was really good. I mean, I agree to a point with what you said about...
You're losing your fucking patience with this program.
I am, but this was good. I can't complain about it. Now, look, let's talk about McAfee first. That was totally the Young Bucks. There are 2 sets of feet, but we only see 1 buck.
Yeah.
That was... It's Pat McAfee, but we couldn't get him here today. But beyond that, I liked the match. I agree with you to a point about the big spot in the middle. But I think what was refreshing was, other than that, there weren't a lot of really insane bumps.
Yeah.
And I feel like so many of the ladder matches we've seen for the last 20 years, really, are just all based around the big, crazy bumps and getting people to react to it. And quite frankly, if you don't have live fans there, it's smarter to do it this way. Smarter to do it this way anyway. This is a really good match. Pete Dunne, he's obviously lost a lot of weight. And I've said before about the Becky Lynch thing, but he just kind of looks like, remember when the Bad News Bears went to the Astrodome and Kelly Leak grew his hair out? He just kind of looks like Kelly Leak. I don't know.
Now, wait a minute. You're making that reference, and you were just completely ignorant earlier of the entire plot of A Christmas Story.
I could have made the reference to the Bad News Bears going to Japan and wrestling Inoki. But I didn't do that.
You know, come to think of it, that now looks like an AEW match. The Bad News Bears versus Antonio Inoki. No, it was a good match, a good ladder match. O'Reilly and Dunn, he has lost some weight. If he's trained down and trimmed down, that's fine. But he looks orange too. Is that real? Is that a real tan? Why would your skin turn that color?
I don't know.
Or why would you do it if it's not real? Why would you do it on purpose?
I don't know.
All right. Well, you know, Brian, while you're watching this program every week, because you have to, you don't necessarily have to listen to it. What you could do is you could watch NXT on the screen, and you could stick into your ears your Raycon wireless earbuds and listen to whatever you want to keep you in a good mood. Have you ever thought of doing that?
I think I'm going to be doing that going forward every single week.
And maybe you could put some Lance Russell or Gordon Soley on, and they can call a match that you'd be interested in.
I don't know. With the state of wrestling, maybe some Coltrane. Maybe Coltrane live in Seattle. I think that's maybe what I'd listen to.
Coltrane?
John Coltrane?
Oh, I thought you were talking about Nighthawk Coltrane.
No.
Anyway.
No, John Coltrane.
Well, regardless of which Coltrane you're watching or listening to, folks, with the Raycon wireless earbuds, you can block out the world and only hear the sounds you want to hear. And after all, isn't that what we all want to do? We just want to block out the world and only hear what we want to hear. And what you're going to want to hear is the Raycon wireless earbuds, folks, with seamless Bluetooth pairing and a comfortable noise-isolating fit. You can listen for hours. The audio quality is amazing. The premium brands that cost twice or 3 times as much as the Raycon sounds just like them. This holiday season, whether it's you or a person on your gift list, something they can use for phone calls or music, work or play at home, on the go, wherever. You're going to want to stick these things in your ear and not let them go. And if you go to Buy Raycon, that's BUYRAYCON, buyraycon.com/JCE today, you'll get 20% off your Raycon order. But hurry, the offer's available for a limited time only. This show may last a limited time only. You don't want to miss either one. So buyraycon.com/JCE, get 20% off your Raycon wireless earbuds. Buyraycon.com/JCE. Block out that annoying commentary from all of the cookie cutter wrestling commentators these days. Block it right out, Brian.
That's a great idea.
You've blocked me already, haven't you?
Not yet.
You don't listen to a goddamn thing I say.
I listen to like 90% of what you say.
You listen to almost all of the show when you're on it.
That's right.
Well, what other shows are you doing this week before we talk about our friends over at All Petite Wrestling?
Another action-packed week on the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network. Get information about all shows on Twitter at Superpodcasts or on Facebook, facebook.com/Arcadian Vanguard. A few notes. The newest episode of Charting the Territories is up right now, where Al Getz and John Boucher go back through wrestling history, revealing results and things that people have forgotten over the years, specifically focusing on Leroy McGurk's territory. This episode, a big feature on 1976, some of the big turns that happened in what would in the future be the Mid-South Wrestling Territory. Using analytics and lots of other information, check it out today at chartingthepodcast.com. Also want to make mention, the latest episode of the Mid-Atlantic Championship Podcast is up right now. Mike Sempervive has audio from a Mid-Atlantic wrestling episode that is not on the WWE Network. Something worth going out of your way to hear. Check it out today. MidAtlanticPod.com. Available wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Also want to make mention of John Arezzi's Pro Wrestling Spotlight. Then and now, the latest episode. Of course, Jim, what we do is we review the original broadcast from 1990, from 30 years ago. Talk about them today. Play lots of audio. The most recent episode had Joe Pedicino on the show from September of 1990, and it's really weird listening to this now. This is a period of time where WCW is turning off fans left and right. The WWF is what it is, but there are all these little promotions popping up. You have Herb Abrams and his UWF, and that's a whole nother story on this episode. But Joe Pedicino, and you feel bad listening back to this, he's really pumped up. He has money from Nigeria, and he's starting a promotion, and he's meeting with the television networks.
Yeah.
And he's getting everything ready. He's getting all of his ducks in a row. What, of course, would become the Global Wrestling Federation, and unfortunately what would become Joe Pedicino being scammed by a bullshit Nigerian money man. Do you remember this period of time where all of a sudden the talk... I mean, I know you ended up working there for a taping or two.
Oh, he was telling me beforehand. We were talking on the phone, and somewhere, and I got this on one of the... Remember the old original fax machines where the paper was like on a roll, and it came out of the fax machine. It was some kind of... I don't know what the printing process was, but it wasn't like a printer now where it has an ink cartridge in it, but the ink would fade over time. You remember that, right?
Yeah, very much.
Are you old enough? Okay, yeah. Well, if somewhere in the Castle Cornette files, if the ink just hasn't faded completely off the fax, I have the actual fax that he sent me of Olu Oliani's Nigerian bank credit statement. Like, you have $25 million line of credit, all the shit. Joe really believed this. This was not what usually happens, is some crook trying to be a wrestling promoter and selling people on a bill of goods. Joe believed that this guy had this money and that he was going to do these things. And he was so excited about it, and as well equally mortified when he found out it wasn't going to come about.
See, that's why it's so sad, because it's not just another huckster wrestling promoter like Herb Abrams. Again, same time period. Herb Abrams booked a TV taping, did a big angle at a Rezzi's convention. First TV taping's canceled. You know what I mean? Like things like that. Joe Pedicino sounds so excited, and he also sounds like he's treating it really seriously. He met with Fox Television, he says here, and, you know, they're getting ready, and he's excited, and he has ideas that he wants to do that are different than what everyone else is doing, and like I said, it's really sad knowing how things ended up. Steve Beverly's in his hotel room with him. He's listening on the line, then he just jumps in.
And it was amazing, some of the people that believed this also. And I mean, I'd never seen a $25 million line of credit from a Nigerian bank. You know, it had a lot of big words in it. But I saw that. I met the guy one time in Louisville when they did one of those combined tapings at the Gardens. And he looked like a Nigerian Louis Armstrong. He had this round face, these big chubby cheeks. And he was very interested in this, you know, female girl wrestler that he had come across at that point. I should say I had met. Poor choice of words, had come across. And, you know, and they thought, and I'm just like, no, I've never believed it from day one. And I'm not saying that now to, I told you so again, but I didn't buy it. But everybody wanted it to work.
Now, that was the pilot, wasn't it? In Louisville? That was the pilot taping for what they were pitching to the different networks. It was after the point that we're talking about on the Resi show, though.
Yes, yeah. And I've lost track of, it was sometime in 91. And I've lost track of exactly what the, steps were of what he was doing and when he was going to do it. And then when they found out, but at one point he was going to buy Memphis. That's why Jared was working with him, because he found out that Joe Pedicino would at least believed he had a guy that had $25 million. And they were going to do some type of deal or potentially buy the Memphis territory and do these co-promotions and blah, 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 blah.
Because this is the time period, too, where Jerry Jarrett left Dallas because Kevin Von Erich, I guess, claiming that Jerry never paid the full amount to Fritz and him and his brother, he took back over. All of a sudden, USWA in Dallas became world-class wrestling again. And then there was, whatever you want to call it, the weird merger where you took I can't even say it with a straight face, world-class championship wrestling and Mario Savoldi's international championship wrestling.
International world-class championship wrestling.
To form IWCCW. But that's the thing that I found really fascinating here is that there are all these things popping up. Herb Abrams pops up. Pedicino's working on his thing. The whole Dallas thing happens, which ties into Pedicino. When did you, because I know you leave at the end of October from WCW. When did you actually talk to Rick Rubin and say, hey, I'm ready to do this? When
November?
would it have been? November. Okay. So, I mean, that's right around this period of time.
We left on, what was it, October 29th or 30th? And I spent Halloween and called Rubin.
So it's right around this period of time. Yeah. Wow. We'll hear more from Joe Pedicino, as well as a ridiculous segment where Tony Rumble and Vic Steamboat have a confrontation over the phone at pwspod.com, available wherever you find your favorite podcasts. And of course, the 605 Superpodcast, the Mothership!
Put me through to the Pentagon!
There we go. I thought maybe you weren't going to play any noise this week.
I missed the button.
Here are the latest episodes right now at 605pod.com. We are working right now to get the latest episode, the newest episode up in the next several weeks. But go through the archive today, 605pod.com. Available wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Just search for 605 Superpodcast. And thank you so much to everyone who has checked out our 2-part, 8-hour look at this year's Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Fame class, the different panel discussions. Really appreciate all the feedback. And thank you. More to come. More greatness from the Super Podcast to come. The Mothership!
He humbly says, more greatness to come. Couldn't be any less greatness.
Only the facts. Only the facts.
All right. I guess we should get to the meat of the matter here. The second Wednesday night program. Do you remember when Thanksgiving Day was the biggest day of the year in wrestling, and every Thanksgiving night there were 15 or 20 live events around the country drawing anywhere from a couple of thousand to 20,000 people? And now we get 2 half-ass TV programs on Wednesday night and nothing on Thanksgiving. We used to get the turkey, now we got the bird.
That's right.
Anyway, on All Friends Wrestling, the opening match, they've given up on the ratings war too. Adam Page versus a dork jobber, the bald, stocky kid from the Dork Order. Brody Lee apparently is in the witness protection program. I can understand if he was hurt. They don't even mention his name now, do they? Do they know something we don't?
I believe he is hurt. They've never said anything about that on the air. If they have, I just haven't heard.
But shouldn't they say Brody Lee out around the world recruiting members of the Dark Order and he's giving these instructions?
Now they've just become a comedy act, a pure comedy act.
But anyway, Adam Page against a job guy was the opening match on this program. So they've given up the ratings war also. And Adam Page looks great. If this had been a 5-minute bell-to-bell match to give him a win coming up on some of his big issues, that'd be fine. And I'm not saying that, the dork jobber is athletic and somewhat entertaining. If he was the one kind of halfway mentally goofy stooge in a group of top heels, and he was the flunky, it would work, and you could get bad, you could do some things. But this is just another guy that's 5'2" and cutting a funny promo to stand out in the middle of a bunch of funny promos. I don't know. You can see where these guys get some of their ideas. They just don't know how to execute them. It's like Shit Stain, loving when Piper hit Snuka with the coconut and not remembering why he did it or what happened afterwards. They have moments in their head. Oh, this would be cool. Anyway, the jobber kicked the shit out of Page for quite a while. Page started his comeback they did the duck and dodge in and out of the ring, and he did a back and forth so he could hit a dive, for fuck's sake. And he lost the momentum he could have had on his comeback if he just started punching the heel in the fucking face and went from there. But then the match went on and on. The guy foiled the buckshot, just ducked the buckshot and reversed it on Page, got 2 near falls on him, and I started screaming, who are they pushing here? It's the same thing I used to push. Same thing I used to scream in the production truck in Ring of Honor when we had given guys specific instructions on who we thought, on who the star was and who was going over, but they all try to have the greatest match that they could ever have with whoever their opponent is instead of understanding business, and so nobody gets over. So I'd scream that, who are we pushing here? I can't fucking tell. And if the producer of the show couldn't tell who they were pushing, the fans couldn't tell who they were pushing. Finally, Page hit a lariat, 1, 2, 3. Good match in a vacuum, I guess, if it had been 2 guys. But since it was a top star and a job guy in a comedy mid-card heel group, why have it unless it's 5 minutes, 1 tackle pancake, get the fuck out. So there was more. They did interviews. Because now Pizzeria Uno is back to speaking for all the dorks since Boring Brody is quarantined somewhere. And he made the awkward, flowery pitch to Page, kind of, to join the dork order, except it wasn't really there was no sales pitch. It was just like, you ought to do this. They're horrible fucking cult members or cult people because they can't talk anybody into joining the thing. There's no reason why they should. But they're not going to give up on this. AEW, the whole dork order thing, whoever is in love with this goddamn deal, they're not going to give up on it. It's worse than Trump not giving up. At some point, just throw your hands up and say, we just didn't do this right, and just get rid of it. What'd you think?
I agree with a lot of what you said about the match. Nothing against, I think his name is Silver. He's obviously an entertaining guy. He's obviously in good shape. But he's 5'4". I'm not trying to be funny either. I mean, if he's not 5'4", he's 5'5". He's a really short guy. And he's in there with I shouldn't even say one of the main eventers. Someone who's obviously destined to be a main eventer there, who they can't figure out how to appropriately use at all, and they've really done stupid shit with him countless times already. And I like Ishii in New Japan. I think he's great, and he's a shorter guy, so someone's going to say, oh, he's short, don't you like him? I do. He's an ass kicker. He doesn't go out there and do bad comedy. I don't understand why this match went so long. I mean, was this match going forever against Ember Moon and Candice LeRae going forever? It's like you said, they've both given up on this being any kind of ratings war. AEW, they don't need every match to be a long competitive match where everyone kicks out of everything. It's counterproductive. If Adam Page had won in 4 minutes, it would have been a lot more effective. And it would have made Adam Page stand out a whole lot more.
Brian, it wouldn't have been as good of a match, and every match has to be great. They're not supposed to get people over and get people interested in what else is going on that you might have to pay for. It's just have the greatest match of all time, every time.
If every match is 4 stars, then the 4-star match becomes the 2-star match.
Well, and that's why Uncle Dave has to keep fucking adding stars, because he's painted himself into a corner. Because now, according to him, a 5-star match is just something that happens all the time. I got an idea, though. If the Dork Order wants Adam Page to join, change their name to Alcoholics Anonymous. Then Officer Barbrady was in the back with Twinkle Toes McFingerbang, old Kenny Olivier. Now he's wearing a suit, cleaned up a little bit. Did you notice that he was singing his promo again?
That's all I could focus on now. Ever since you brought it up, and I've heard from other people too, he sings his promos.
He's so mellifluous. He's singing his voice is as high as Florence Henderson's was in the Brady Bunch.
Come on.
And he sings songs. His mush-mouth promo about being the best in the world, he's hyping a match like a fucking musical math teacher. It's boring and sing-song at the same time, and has a lilting quality that he goes up and down. He actually closed this with telling Moxley that his dad could whip Moxley's dad. These are grown men in their 30s.
He's in a suit. That's a positive because he looks a lot better in a suit than he did dressed in his pajamas, showing up and going out there. And even though he sounds like a putz and he's completely unconvincing in everything he says, if this had been a minute, it would have been more effective than however long it went, ending with him saying that his dad... I mean, it's like a Chris Von Erich line. My dad could whoop your dad. I mean, it's just ridiculous. He's ridiculous. But at least he's wearing a suit.
He is the most unintimidating, verbally or physically, alleged top wrestling star that I've ever seen in my life.
You're not wrong.
Darby, what was that?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong about that.
Darby Allin did another video where he's not only bashing that car again and painting on it, but this time he set it on fire. And that's it. He never speaks, and nothing happened. He just set the car on fire.
There should be a video next week on the show where Darby's parents sit him down and explain how car insurance works.
Geico can save you. You're not even a sponsor, but we'll give them a plug there. What? They're spending money shooting this stuff. And I'm not talking about on the car. It's some old junk car, but they're spending money going out in the woods and shooting these videos of this guy. They've got a crew there, at least a cameraman and an audio guy, even though they don't have audio. They send audio people. And a drone or a high shot, a crane or something. What the fuck? So the next match, they actually got the concept of this right. They have a new heel that they're pushing, beat up a young babyface in convincing fashion, and beat him. However, it was old Powerhouse Hobbs. We have established, I think, on the program last week when we talked about them switching him heel and joining Taz's team, he's only had one match on television as a babyface, and he had 3 brief saves where in one of them, the heels were already retreating and somebody yelled, "Hey, Will, get out there," and he came out and threw a chair. This is not they've painted the picture of him as a young, up-and-coming babyface. They did a package on him. They gave him a win. I remember one. They're acting like this is a shocking occurrence. He's been a babyface, literally one TV match and a couple of saves. And they told the story that he was training and his brother was shot and killed in a gang deal or whatever the fuck, and this sympathetic backstory, and they act like he was then an established babyface for months and months and suddenly turned heel. And it was shocking. If you missed the week he was on TV, then he was a guy that came out and saved a couple of people. They're just rushing. So anyway, okay, now he's a heel. Okay, let's go with that. So Hobbs beat him up, threw him out on the floor. Both guys spent 45 seconds. I put my watch on it. 45 seconds on the floor while the referee he was counting, and then he just quit counting because they weren't paying any attention. Hobbs was beating him up on the floor. They can't even do squash matches right. There's no reason for him to beat the guy up on the floor because he can beat him up in the ring. Why are you taking job guys to the floor? Because every single match in this company spends half the time on the floor, even when it's not necessary at all. So You got a green guy here with a lot of potential. It's going to be wasted here because, as we've seen, they can't even get stars over, much less green guys from scratch. But they could have established him as a babyface and then switched him, but they didn't because they rush everything. So now you want to establish him as a heel? Okay. But teach him how to fucking get over and have proper matches just with job guys so he can get over. And then they followed that up, and I'll let you comment on this match in a second, but they followed that up with Taz's interview where he sent his guy out. Okay, take time off now. And then spent 10 minutes wanting AEW to acknowledge the FTW belt. Like, A, they don't have enough belts, and B, he's actually out there demanding that somebody from management come out and take his made-up belt seriously. The whole idea of the thing is that he made it up. And in the context of what he did in ECW 20 years ago, it works, but now it's fucking goofy because it's a made-up belt. If you're going to use a made-up belt, then it needs to be presented as a made-up belt, that you're getting heat on your heel saying, look, he's the FTW champion. Well, that's not recognized by anybody. Yeah, but he's the champion. So then they cut his microphone. He calls for Justin Roberts's, and they cut his microphone, and finally he goads Cody into coming out. The management is Cody. So now we get in this weird bizarro world where next week the tag team match on the program is Hobbs and Starks against Cody and Darby. They're wrestling, but Cody comes out in this instance as a member of management so that Taz can complain about the FTW belt not being taken serial. And Cody says he'll run it up the flagpole. But finally he told him off and said that if Taz was so tough, why is Taz's son trading with me instead of you? And Taz got pissed and started to walk out and then came from behind and got the Taz mission on Cody. Now, did he get the Taz mission on one of the guys on the guy that one of his guys are wrestling next week? Or did he get his Taz mission on an executive management official from the company? They were trying so hard to make this look like a shoot, but there's so many holes in the logic that it's just gaga. They need somebody to, as we've talked about on the program a few weeks ago, to represent management, not Tony Khan. Somebody that the wrestling fans would take seriously when he made matches or gave rulings or whatever. A legend or somebody with bass in his voice or an intimidating figure. But not one of the active wrestlers. Because the management figure that came out here to confront Taz is also one of the wrestlers that's wrestling his guys next week. So wouldn't you think that Taz would be more worried about the fact that his wrestlers are being put up against a member of management than whether nobody's taking his fucking fake belt seriously? What the fuck is going on here, Brian?
I can't explain what the hell they're thinking here. Let me just say first, I like Will Hobbs' name now being Powerhouse Hobbs. I think that sounds good. It sounds better than Will or Willie Hobbs. Powerhouse Hobbs is a good name.
I liked Willie B. Hurt.
I like the... No, you didn't. I like the match. Good, quick match. Got him over. The post-match was bizarre. Taz is out there. And once again, there's another one of those episodes where multiple segments, everyone has to name drop Tony Khan. As if he's back there jerking off to this. Which he may be. Taz comes out there and does this interview, and like you said, and we've talked about this too, how stupid it is, even if these guys are executive vice presidents, them using that as an on-air thing. Because what does that mean? If you're a fan sitting at home watching this casually, I don't know if those fans exist anymore, the casual fan. If you're watching this, and
because of shit like this,
and you've seen Cody wrestle, we're not even talking about the Bucks or Omega. We'll use Cody in this example. You've seen Cody wrestle on TV, and then all of a sudden he comes out in his role as management. What does that mean? So he goes there and he's in charge and he also wrestles? It makes no sense. It makes no sense as being an on-air part of the show with Cody. He goes out there. It was just completely ridiculous. And now they're getting Taz's son into the middle of this. And then Taz chokes him out and runs away from Billy Gunn and his son. I really like Taz, and Taz is one of the best promos they've got. He's one of the best promos in the business right now.
He was having trouble trying to get this out, though, because even he knew he had nothing to work with. He's like, why am I calling this guy out on this made-up reason that I've suddenly got to bitch about?
And by the way, the FTW title has been featured on air more than the TNT title almost.
Actually, yes, you're correct there also.
I don't know. This goes into my whole thing is ADD booking, and that's the problem with Wednesday nights. One show is a guy with ADD, and the other show is a bunch of people on Prozac. And it just creates this awful wrestling energy on both shows. This made no sense. So
you're saying we just need to get the bookers better drugs?
Yeah, actually, I think we need different bookers on better drugs.
Yeah, well, because the bookers that I knew that took drugs, the drugs or the bookers, one or the other made the difference.
But this made no sense. And to go into something we alluded to earlier, I think in the NXT review, where has been the follow-up on everything with Cody and Shaq and Jade Cargill? We saw Jade Cargill attack Brandy backstage last week for a minute. She towered over everyone. Big Swole, of course, got right in her face. Nothing about Shaq. This was the biggest angle on that show 2 weeks ago. More people were talking about that than the return of Pac. Nothing. I mean, this is where I talk about ADD booking. It happened in that moment, and then it was gone.
Jane Cargill fucked up. Instead of saying Shaq, she was supposed to say Pac.
See, that's funny.
That's what changed the course of wrestling.
And they've kept her off the mic ever since. And even Brandy. Everyone talked about that promo Brandy cut. Brandy hasn't said shit on TV since then. They don't know how to do anything well and then follow up on it. And again, this I don't know what the point of this is. And then next week there's another tag team match with Darby and Cody against Team Taz. We just saw Team Taz, although not with Powerhouse Hobbs, against Cody and Darby, 2 weeks ago? Or was it last? No, was it last week? I don't even remember.
I tore my notes up.
They don't know what they're doing. Nothing makes any sense. The show is just
okay. Well, speaking of, to follow up on that point, the next thing in the back, Eddie Kingston's doing a promo. Moxley comes in. Moxley apparently does not know who attacked him last week and left him unconscious laying there in the back during what was supposed to be the contract signing with Olivier. And we've established this in this little thing here. So the amateur armchair booker running this thing is very, very attentive to the facts that he remembers. They're just stupid facts that can't be believed. The next match, actually, I thought I was going to hate.
And that was good, by the way. I just want to say I liked Eddie Kingston and Moxley. Eddie Kingston's, he seems real every time he's on camera. And him and Moxley there for that brief moment, that was really good. I thought it was really good. Except that
he's going to know who beat him up or what, I don't know.
He never said he didn't know. Kingston right away assumed that's why Moxley was getting in his face. And he said, you know me, that's not how I would come at you.
Well, and later on he beats up Olivier, and I don't think Olivier did it either.
But he said, whoever you had beat me up. So he knows Olivier was behind it, apparently.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute, because we can't figure out who the babyface and heels are, by the way, in case you haven't figured this out. The next match, I was about to say I was going to hate it, and it was in its own way rotten, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Top Flight against Angelico and Evans, TH2. TH1 just didn't work out, I guess.
It's Hybrid 2. What's TH2?
That's the team. They called it TH2.
Oh, okay.
The Hybrid 2 or whatever.
Oh.
I don't fucking know. It may be a genetic experiment gone wrong. Every time I see Angelico do that dance to the ring, I hate him more than Donald Trump.
Man, I'm getting such a kick out of that. There used to be this girl I would know. Every now and then you'd see her in like different clubs in the city. And she was pretty good looking. And she'd always be dancing by herself in the corner. Like ignoring everyone. No one could talk to her. She was in her own world. That's Angelico. He's like just dancing. He's looking down. He's not paying attention to anyone. It reminds me of that every time I see it. It gets funnier each time I see it.
I wish I had that frame of reference, that picture in my mind where I could attach it to something funny. But I figured something out because somebody told me. The bigger top flight brother that I said looked pretty good was in MLW last year. He was the masked Airwolf. I thought I'd seen his face before I saw it in the locker room, but he was wearing a mask in his matches. And I think they doomed him also because I remember at one of the production meetings, they said, oh, this guy's spectacular. We told him just go out and do all of his shit and be spectacular. And he went out and missed half the shit he tried because they put pressure on a young kid to go out and be spectacular. You don't ever tell somebody to go out and be spectacular. But anyway, these kids have something. There was lots of flipping and jumping, but not as bad as one would think. Nobody fell off anything or missed a dive or landed on anybody, so that's good on Angelico and Evans's part. But it was an indie-style match with 4 green guys doing moves. And they've aired a dozen other tag team matches that were much worse, but they did way too much too fast. But then I think, okay, these young kids, they brought them in, made a big deal out of them, put them in with the Bucks. They could have their little showcase and everything. So now they're going to start using them. Angelico gets a leg lock on the younger brother and he tapped out. This team, they even had Angelico and Evans say a brief little pre-tape promo that we're tired of being looked over and, not being treated like with respect or whatever the fuck, which is what every heel team should say. They haven't been on TV in 2 months. They come back and they beat the new babyface team. This fucking, let's face it, I'm sorry. They were talking about TH2 being veterans and experienced. It made them sound like Bockwinkel and Stevens. No, I know Evans has been around for a while. He spent most of his time in Japan. I'm sure I've met him. He's a nice enough fellow, but all this flipping and bullshit, it's been horrible since day one, continues to be horrible. Angelico looks like they goddamn poured him into a garden hose, made a mold of him. He's fucking 6'3", 122 pounds with that goddamn ridiculous fucking dancing and all the flippy bullshit they do. They're a preliminary job team. And their new babyface team, in their second television appearance, taps out to an underneath mid-card heel team. Explain this one to me, Ricky.
Oh, I can't explain this to you. I was stunned that that's the
And then the Bucks run out and made the save.
Of course, because they're the big brothers of every idiot in the tag team division. And boy, how intimidating are they that Angelico and Evans had to run out of the ring. The Bucks come out there, they look so weak, and the heels run away. But I can't explain it.
If they wanted to put some fucking oomph behind TH2 because they're tired of being taken advantage of, then they could have had them beat some other team. Did they have to have them beat the fucking team they just signed and started to push? Now, by the way, Top Flight is 0-2. They get beat by the Bucks, then they get beat by these schlubs. They couldn't come back and give them a win, so at least they're 1-1. Fucking idiots. FTR and Tully were in a dark room with a white tablecloth. And they actually told us that the Bucks were the best tag team in the world for 3 seconds in their match. And they gave us no reason to be mad at them or believe that they will beat the Bucks the next time. I don't know whether they're heels or baby faces. They have a manager, but they say nothing heelish or to make anyone mad or to make excuses for getting screwed by the Bucks the first time around. So they must be the baby faces. But then that would make the Bucks the heels. And that would necessitate that any fucking adult human being, any male human being over the age of 14 should be intimidated by the heels. So that means the Bucks can't be the heels. So what the fuck is going on here? They've killed our boys. Just mealy-mouthed fucking bleh. Didn't even give them anything to say or to talk about.
I don't have any explanation or any additional thoughts. I hope to see them back in the ring soon, having great matches.
Having great with who? Are they gonna leave and work for another promotion? Who are they gonna have these great matches with?
They have not handled FTR well in any sense of the word.
The next tag team match, actually, if it hadn't been for the ladder match, this match probably would have been the best pro wrestling match of the night, actually, just because there was really no other contenders. SCU, Daniels, and Kazarian against Jericho and Hager with the whole circle, not just the inner circle, but the whole circle. Because remember, MJF's one of the boys now, one of the group, just another guy in the fucking crowd. Why are all the fans in attendance and the baby faces, recognizable babyface talents at ringside, singing at the top of their lungs the top heels entrance music?
Well, it makes Jericho feel good about himself.
But does it make sense that the fans would want to sing his song because he's a heel? But does it even make even worse sense, even less sense, that the other baby faces at ringside that he's probably either beaten up or will beat up would be singing his song like a bunch of fucking karaoke fucking customers?
Yeah, I saw Dr. Luther rocking out, which was funny, but you know what someone told me? And it happened here, and I think, I could be wrong, but I think this is a taped episode, that Jericho apparently requested that because the audience was singing his chorus only once, and he thought it should be twice, that on a previous taped episode, they actually put like a fake second chorus in there for people that, you know, they had the tape of the people chanting it, and then they looped it so that it would be a fake second chorus, and they had different shots of people because he thought it should be done twice. And they did it again here, and it's a taped episode. And I wonder if they did the same thing.
Well, it don't make any sense.
No. And, you know, I'll tell you another thing. Obviously, everything they've done with MJF and the Inner Circle has been stupid, completely stupid, beyond stupid. It's a whole new level of stupid. But it really, even if you want to get past the stupidity of it, does it really matter if every single other thing on the show is a heel faction? This is just nothing but factions. Everyone has a group. Everyone has a faction. Why does this one stand out?
And they're all heels.
Yeah.
They're the most unlikable baby faces. This match was good because all these guys, you got three experienced, talented veterans and Hager. And Hager, to me, is still as green as a pepper tree, but he's big and convincing.
He's been around for a long time now.
Well, and as somebody said that, how can you call him green? Green is not a time period. Green is a state of mind. And yes, he had a couple-year run in the WWF, and I guess he was in developmental. For the past several years, how much has he wrestled and how much has he fucking Bellatored? It's not like he was out there every night working independents, getting a bunch of ring time. He's green in terms of how he carries himself and how he knows or figures who to sell for and who not to, his movements, etc. He's not smooth, but he looks like a big badass, so it works somewhat for him. But Daniels and Jericho broke into some pro wrestling. It was nice to see some spots, drop down, leapfrog, hip toss, drop kick, things like that. Hager, they must have told him to put his big boy pants on because he looked tougher against Kazarian than he did against Pockets. And they kept it moving. Kazarian got a nice hot tag to Chris Daniels at one time. They actually did that right. And well, I shouldn't say they actually did because they know what Daniels and Kazarian, I've always been a fan of their work. And Daniels is amazing for his age. Then they stopped Daniels and they went through a break. And later on, Daniels made a cold tag to Kazarian because neither one of the heels was making any effort to stop him whatsoever. I love Kazarian as a talent and a worker. As I was jotting that down, he jumped over the top rope out on the floor to jump on somebody and caught his toe on the top rope and almost fell and killed himself. But as I said, three veterans know what they're doing, and Hager, and one of the better matches that they've ever had on this show because at least it made some fucking sense. And it was pro wrestling, and there was a heel, and there was a baby face, and nobody was doing too much stupid shit. Normally, in all of AEW's matches, somebody's either so green or so indie, where you got one of them on both sides. But this, if you took this match and put it on SmackDown or Raw when they were still good programs, it wouldn't have been offensive. It would have worked. And the guys look like athletes, and they're recognizable, have star power. So I didn't mind this fucking match at all, especially in the field of Wednesday night competition. And finally, MJF hits Daniels with the ring and Jericho hits the Judas 1, 2, 3. So they gave MJF a little spot. It'll take another 3 or 4 weeks before he's completely buried in the middle of the crowd. But then the heels got some more heat. On this show, when the heels win a match, do they ever just leave it there? They always go back and get more heat to the point where it's expected, to the point where it doesn't become heat. And then here comes Scorpio Sky by himself with a chair, and 8 heels ran like they'd just seen anthrax. So there was that. Did I miss anything, Brian?
I don't think so.
You've just checked out, haven't you?
No, I mean, look, this match was all right. I think Jericho shot in the ring. Beyond the stupid shit with him and his microphone, I have to admit, we all have that guy. We all have that guy that everyone raves about and you don't see it. I've always thought Christopher Daniels was the epitome of nothing special. He's all right. He's serviceable. But I've never seen him as anything other than adequate in the ring. I've never understood people raving about him or saying how good he is. And I know he's an older guy now. He isn't what he was 15 years ago, whatever. But with that said, the match was all right. I thought
you were going to do that whole build up to go, but I really got into Chris Daniels here in this.
No, I mean, it was all right as a tag team match on this show, but I didn't care too much for it. Daniels
is always, he's smooth, he's safe, he's coordinated. He's had a good
nothing
hit.
Special. I've always seen him as just.
That is now. All those things are very special now and very hard to find. I'm not saying he's goddamn Buddy Rogers.
No.
But I've always.
Oh, God, Chris. No. No.
All right.
Let's not even put his name in the same sentence as Buddy Rogers.
You'll hold me down and wash my mouth out with Icapro.
Hawthorne, yeah.
Hawthorne, even. All right, they'll come back around, folks. Anyway, the next segment, explain this to me. There's our little boy Pip with his big buddy Miro and their blonde bimbo. And they're going to do a segment where they talk about video games, apparently, right? This is our video game segment.
They announced that they're going to have a new segment, whatever it was called, their video game Wonderworld segment. I don't know what it was.
Okay. And they say this for 30 seconds, and they just turn to the big screen that's behind him, and there's Pockets, and he turns their TV off. When he turns their TV off, they get mad, and old Miro even says, "My mother bought that for me," or something or other. Like he didn't break the TV with a sledgehammer, he turned it off, and they run outside the trailers in the parking lot where the Chuckle fucks. One's Chuck and the other one's Fuck. Attack them. And they have one of the fakest, obviously fake fights that I've ever seen in wrestling for about a minute in the parking lot. When then Miro mugs for the camera and it comes to an end. He actually mugs for the camera in the middle of a fight, actually grabs the camera and makes faces and says, "Get out of my way." The worst rivalry in wrestling history. But that was that segment. They spent money on this fucking guy, Miro.
I can't explain it. Like I said a few weeks ago, at least they're putting all these guys in one feud to keep them away from everything else. Awful looking brawl. The fact that Orange Cassidy just walks into their trailer, no one notices him. You would think Penelope would have had a good shot at him walking in, and he just turns off their video game, and that is what causes the brawl.
Yeah, them's fighting words.
Miro said, "I think my wife bought me that," and then they go out there and they have this awful brawl. I'm telling you, and I feel like an asshole saying this to you now, this guy was great for a time.
Yeah.
This guy had so much potential.
About you.
This guy had so much potential. And then first Vince McMahon and then Tony Khan. And just, I don't know what the hell they're doing with this guy. Pathetic.
Well, just remember, it comes down to the fact that this guy's a complete idiot and has no idea how to get over and has no idea how he got over in the past, apparently. Because he ain't going to do it again.
Did he know Kip Sabian beforehand? Or did they say, "We're bringing you in. Listen, you guys both love video games. We're going to put you together." You guys are married now.
If he hadn't have said, "Just so you know that Miro's brain damaged, his mind is warped," if he didn't say then, "What is a Pip Sabian and I'm not going to be partners with him. I'm a star." But he was just apparently happy to get on TV and play some video games in his Minnie Mouse t-shirt. All right, the big contract signing that we had long awaited that got stalled off last week when Moxley got attacked. Well, Olivier signed it. That comes up again. This is where Tony Schiavone was in the ring in half of a suit and his magenta pajama pants. And they start out with Olivier's comedy entrance again, the Wrestling Observer, Hall of Fame, and from North Carolina. Somebody thinks this is a good idea. That's the funny thing. Somebody thinks this entrance is a good idea. And I don't know. It doesn't make him a heel because he's still a milksop. It doesn't make him a babyface because it's obnoxious. Here comes the Broom Girls. Here's what I wrote. I guarantee you not one of the guys in this locker room is trying to fuck either one of the Broom Girls. I would place all the money I have. Not one of them is trying to fuck one of the Broom Girls. And I also guarantee you that if this was Memphis or Mid-South or Jim Crockett Promotions or any other wrestling promotion since the dawn of time, there'd be people having double knockouts trying to fuck the Broom Girls. Which might be the only worthwhile thing about having them around or this entire fucking entrance. Is somebody gets some enjoyment out of it. So Olivier's in the tunnel waiting to try to be Steve Austin. Good luck on that. And somebody attacks Olivier. Well, it's Moxley. And they fight into the ring. And as Moxley and Olivier are fighting, who should I cheer for here? The guy with the effeminate sing-song promos or the psychopathic nut who attacks people from behind and uses thumbtacks? Who's the babyface here? And then Moxley drops Olivier on his head on the belt with his finish and cuts a promo. I hate this. This is what I hate the worst. It's so phony, and it buries people. I don't mind Olivier being buried here because he's already done it to himself. But they want to do the same thing. Shitstain wanted to do the same thing with Eric Young and TNA with Hernandez and Sting. He wanted Eric Young to come out and lay out Sting and Hernandez and then cut promos on the microphone over their lifeless bodies. So why don't you just piss in their mouth while they're down there? You know that Moxley has to go way too long because he loves the sound of his own promos, and Olivier had to lay there interminably and sell while Moxley won't shut up right next to him. One fucking double-arm DDT on the belt put Olivier down for 3 weeks. But they'll have this match, and he'll take 16 bumps in the first 5 minutes that are worse and pop right back up. This was cliche and fucking rotten. Your thoughts?
I did have the same thought where it's like, man, Omega's been on the mat a long time, squirming and selling while Moxley cuts his promo. It was nice to see him kick the shit out of him in the entranceway. I thought it was a cool visual of him popping up behind Omega while he's waiting to do his douchey entrance. Justin Roberts sucks. It's been a couple of weeks since I said that. But he sucks.
Sucks hard.
He sucks hard. He's ridiculous.
Got sharp teeth, too.
There's just so much about everything he says that's ridiculous. I thought about it the other day last week when... Is it Private Party? Yeah, Private Party. No, it was Orange Cassidy. Because he always introduces him with the same weighing whatever from wherever.
Wherever.
Like, it's always a question. He never knows. But he sucks. He needs to go away. Put Dasha as the ring announcer. Justin Roberts is dog shit. I agree with you that it went too long and that it was cliched, but I didn't have a major problem with it. Out of all the things on AEW, I had the least amount of problems with this segment than most of the other things.
Well, I'll give you a problem because they go back to the back with Officer Bar Brady again with the entire inner circle. MJF gets one sentence and Jericho takes over and cuts the promo for him and announces his match next week with Frankie Kazarian so that he can get even with Kazarian for touching his little buddy there, MJF. So now I'm wondering if you think that Jericho saw that the only personality verbally that could compete with him on this entire program was MJF, so we need to get him down underneath me so everybody knows I'm the top dog. Is it one of those type of things?
I don't know. Again, we're back to where we were because everyone seemed to be getting along great at ringside for the tag match, and now all of a sudden Different guys have different facial reactions. Wardlow and Hager are just staring each other down the whole promo. I thought we were past this already. Lame. It's all lame. Everything with Jericho in 2020 has been lame. This sucks. It's a waste of MJF. Fuck it.
Speaking of fuck it, the women's title was on the line next with our friend Hikaru Shida taking on Anna Jay. And I was hoping for a 30-minute Broadway here so I could pick up some time. Unfortunately, they didn't give it to us, but I did pick up some time. Shida won, and suddenly something called Abaddon appeared crawling on her knees, spitting up fake blood, and Shida, the babyface, looked scared, fell backwards, and dropped her belt in disbelief as this 4'6" cross between Betty Davis and whatever happened to Baby Jane and fucking Elvira was crawling on her hands and knees toward her. What the fuck was going on there?
I can't explain it. I've seen this women's wrestler on a few different things. She was the one who they taped a match for a few weeks ago. It was her against someone, and she got like chopped in the throat and they couldn't air it because she got legitimately hurt. But
well, she was still spitting up blood here.
She was still spitting up blood. Are we supposed to believe that she crawled into the arena and all the way there, timed it perfectly to crawl? Like, where did she come from crawling?
But also, why is Shida, the babyface, scared and groveling and backing up from this 4'6" fucking girl crawling to her on her hands and knees?
I can explain that because
if you're crawling to me, I'm going to kick you in the face.
She's scared because she hasn't yet realized that she's going to work like everyone else works. Do the same spots that everyone else does.
Matt Hardy did a promo. Now he's a heel. He was 3,000 years old. Then he rented an apartment, changed clothes in an ice machine. Then he teleported himself from under the water. Then he almost got brain damage and killed by Sammy Guevara. Then he said he was going to take some time off and go home and reevaluate. And he did a promo as himself, Matt Hardy. Then he never took time off. Then he came back. He was still a babyface, but he was fucking talking to drones and teleporting again, and now he's a fucking heel, putting himself over and knocking everybody else as being pissy little people with pissy little problems. So I guess he's not mentoring Private Party anymore. Now he's an asshole. Is Matt Hardy now a heel or a babyface, or what the fuck's going on here?
This flies under the category of who gives a shit.
Okay.
It's Matt Hardy.
I don't get it now anymore.
It's Matt Hardy. The guy's been in the business for, whatever, close to 30 years, and he's still trying to find an identity. I don't care.
He has a good one. The legendary Matt Hardy.
It isn't as good as you think it is.
It's better than this.
Well, maybe.
All right, then the main event. Notice that the match, Chris Jericho and Sammy Hagar against fucking who'd they just wrestle? God damn it.
SCU.
SCU. People who have been stars in the business, who are well-known names, who've wrestled all over the world, been on major television. They go on in the middle of the program, and we get a main event of the Butcher and the Baker with the Candlestick Maker against Pac and one of the Lucha Brothers. What the? And they jump-started it and brawled around ringside. Now, who are the heels here? Or who are the baby faces? The Death Triangle or Butcher and Blade? Either one of those teams sounds like fine, upstanding, young, patriotic sportsmen that we can all want to emulate. Seconds in, they were diving and flipping and doing shit, and that's why I wrote, why put the real stars on in the middle of the show and the undercard heel teams in the main event spot? Pac could be a main event guy. He's brilliant. If you don't put him in the ring with all the rest of these fucking numbnutses. And if you had a coherent way to push him now that he's back, and if he was not the victim of shit booking and knew how to get himself over somewhat despite of that, but all of that, anyway, a bunch of people did a bunch of shit in this match and they went to the break. After the break, they came back and it continued the same way. A bunch of people did a bunch of shit. At one point, old Butcher went to Chuck Felix, shit-can him out through the ropes, and he grabbed Felix by the head with one hand, and Felix took off and flew over the top rope and went 15 feet. And then finally, Kingston tripped Felix off the top rope, and the Butcher and the Baker got the win, 1, 2, 3. So now the Butcher and the Baker are beating the fucking returning guy that was going to change the face of wrestling, according to Tony Khan, Pac, but he just lost. And as usual, in every single segment that's ever done on this program, the heels continue the heat. Nobody comes out to help. No referees, no security, no bell ringing. Then suddenly here comes Lance Archer and Jake Roberts. More heels. And Lance dives in and makes a comeback. Blade took one bump for him. And Butcher just stood there and traded with him. Then he got one cross body in that the heels both took wrong. And then they stopped Lance Archer and started roughing him up, and Jake Roberts had to stand there and do nothing. The biggest wrestling star probably, certainly in this segment and probably on the entire program, and he had to stand there and do nothing because he's I don't know about DDP yoga, but he ain't on DDP's low-carb diet anymore. He's fucking enormous. He's announced he's got COPD. I'm sure he can't take a fucking bump. So why did he come out there if his guy was going to get fucking stopped and taken over on, and he's got to stand there with his dick in his hand? And then Lance makes a little bit of a flurry, and the heels leave, and the heels leave. That's a blanket statement. If I said the heels should leave, then the entire roster would leave. Because they ain't got one baby face, and all the heels are mad at each other, and that's why nobody gives a shit. And the only people watching this program are the people who watch what they call wrestling these days to see people do moves to each other, which is meaningless. And there you had it.
Yep.
I would ask you if I missed anything, but I bet I know what you're going to say.
I hated this episode. There's so much crap on this show. There are so many guys that they focus on for a week and then they just disappear from the show and they don't focus on them again. There's too many guys.
But there's some of them we can't get rid of no matter what we do. They're on every fucking week.
This isn't good. You know, and I really enjoyed that Cody Jade Cargill segment a few weeks ago because I said, it was like everything, the best and worst of AEW in one segment. They've done nothing to follow up on that. Everyone talked about Brandy's promo. She hasn't said boo since. FTR has not been seen since the pay-per-view. They were seen in a brief promo here that didn't do anything to make you want to see them do anything.
Do anything.
Cody, all of a sudden, you know, he can't decide if he's a wrestler or an executive. The Young Bucks, same thing. They're rescuing tag teams. Top Flight, they bring in a lot of potential. They do a job to a team that no one cares about.
Not just a job. They tapped. The babyface is tapped.
It's almost as if it's being booked by someone who doesn't know what they're doing.
You may have something
who's
there.
On Ritalin.
It does have all the earmarks of something like that.
Like I said, it's Ritalin versus Valium, this Wednesday Night War, and it sucks. And both these shows suck. Every now and then you get a jewel in either show, but I really don't enjoy these shows. We'll see. This next week's going to be the big one, because that's the Moxley Omega match finally.
Oh.
But they've been building up that show. They've been building up this episode that it's going to have lots of big things. We'll see. We'll see if it's just like another episode.
You know what I heard? Winter is coming.
Yeah, isn't that really cool, taking the logo of another really, really popular show and applying it to a show that is not very popular?
Someone said on the internet that they actually paid to use Winter is Coming. Like that's gonna fucking pay just dividends and returns out the ass. Well, you know what? Now that we've finished talking about this program, I need a good colonic. Something to get my bowels cleaned out after this blockage and this sludge has stuck in them. So I'm going to go do that now, Brian. We need to close the program up so I can go and irrigate my bowels.
Okay, I have no follow-up to that.
Well, it's the only thing I can think of to do after watching this much crummy television. So what are we doing next week? The drive-through? That's going to happen, right?
Yeah, it'll be good because we won't be focusing on either of these two stupid shows.
Yes. And if you didn't hear last week's, we did a watch along with Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard from the I Quit match at Starrcade 85. But the drive-thru returns to Monday this coming week. And next week, the experience, as we normally are, will be on Friday, not as we are this week because of the holiday. And by then, we'll know what the fuck we're going to do from there. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. God, you sound like you just lost the will to live.
I hate these shows.
But we have a duty to all these people. We have two duties. He said duty. We have two duties. One is to the hundreds of thousands of people who have complained and said that we have made their lives empty if we don't take the piss out of these rotten television programs and explain in minute granular detail what's wrong with them. And secondly, I don't care what else happens. I have made it my mission that I'm going to point out how rotten this poor excuse of a wrestling promotion and this amateur booker and the rest of these fucking indie weasels are that have ruined wrestling's only opportunity in this generation to have a competition with Vince McMahon. And they've come out of the gate with all the tools, network television, great financing, and they have shit the bed with explosive projectile diarrhea. And they have done it because they thought, for some unknown reason, that they could suddenly come along and just make wrestling so great by changing everything that anybody ever liked about it. So fuck you guys. I'm going to do this until you're off the air and under the ground. I'm going to point out how shitty this program is and how ill-prepared all of you are to perpetrate it. It's the least I could do to someone who has sodomized the corpse of something that I loved for quite some time. So I'm performing a public and a private service. I can't wait till there's a service performed over AEW, but nevertheless, they could have been a contender, Brian. But once again, like everything else, I was right about this too. They couldn't play it straight. They couldn't be serious. All they want to do is jack off with their friends. So there's our chance, ladies and gentlemen, much as Jim Herd destroyed the Southern wrestling fans' chance of ever seeing WCW comparable to the WWF 30 years ago. Now, Vince McMahon wins this one in a walkaway because all the amateurs had the money and the television but couldn't get out of their own way and hire other people that can know how to do it right. And that, to me, is even a bigger lost opportunity than the TBS fiasco was 30 years ago. Because all of us have to suffer because these jackoffs thought they were going to reinvent the wheel that was still rolling just fine. Anyway, I've digressed, haven't I?
Yep.
Yeah, I have. All right. Folks, until next week, if I can convince Brian to come along for the ride one more time before he fucking walks on into the ocean and we see his head disappearing off Lido Beach in Jersey somewhere.
Well, no, Lido Beach on Long Island. Let's not go crazy now.
Wherever. I don't know. Jersey, New York, it's all the same to me. Anyway, until next week, and in the meantime and in between times, thank you, fuck you, and bye-bye, everybody.